welcome to this showcase sports event on Hartford TV. I'm Ray Cruz filling in for Don Morrison, and I'm here with my broadcast partner, Kathy Bendis. We are at Magnolia Middle School for the UCBAC Championships. I'm going to be starting the national anthem very soon, but Kathy, welcome to the broadcast.
So excited to be here. I feel like it's homecoming. I feel like I grew up at this pool, spent
hmm
many, many hours here. Really excited to see some great swimming this evening.
So we we have a one error on the screen right now. It should be Kathy with a C for Kathy Bendis. But anyhow, I will say Kathy is a longtime coach. She's 7-year coach champion for Sea Mountain Wright, 2-time state champion coach. She's coached youth, club, summer, everything you can think of. So she has very much knowledge and can't wait to hear what she says about these races. Before we get to the anthem here, I'll stop when it looks like they're doing it. Kathy knows a lot of these swimmers as I do, and that makes it enjoyable.
And I've known Ray for quite a long time. I told him I was going to joke with him and say he was on the other side of the deck when I was swimming. So really excited to be back at this championship meet this evening.
That is translation, fans, for I am old. So I
No,
actually
that was translation for accomplished. Accomplished. Many, many years in the sport. Lots of championships, I think, between the two of us. So we'll see how this goes down tonight.
yes, it should be a good match here. I'm saying, and we'll recap the boys' night later, but I think it'll probably be a battle between the Falston and Sea Mountain Wright girls here. Got a shot of some of our good
Wow,
fans
lots of
here.
fans in the stands. That's
Yes.
awesome.
See some of the Sea Mountain Wright boys team right there. Nick Masanti taking pictures of the girls' meet. There's some North Hartford and Sea Mountain Wright. There's my wife in the middle of the screen there. Yes, she is a coach this year. We talked her into it. Now, one thing you notice, Kathy, is it's often the same parents,
Yes.
always volunteering.
We are glad you are here to join us.
Our
Good luck to
announcer is
all
talking about
swimmers,
sportsmanship
swim
and being good
fans.
fans right now.
A few reminders as spectators of the meet. There are concessions and other items available in the auxiliary
Picture of
gym.
Rich Young
Food
there
and
coming
drink
out of that
must stay
room.
in
He
the
is
gym.
always the
Do not bring
person
it in the
behind the
stands.
scenes doing
There is
the
a live
tech
stream
stuff for
and
these
overflow
meets.
seating in the
Been doing it for a
auxiliary
long
gym.
time.
When your student
That's what
is not
swimming's
Yep.
like in the
swimming,
county. You have
please feel
families
free
that
to move
just,
to the bleachers
Step
or
up,
the
and
yeah.
are
auxiliary
always
gym
there,
when the event
reliable,
is overcrowded.
making sure the kids have a great
Remember, there
experience.
is no flash
He's
photography
literally
allowed.
doing that job. His wife is a runner with
Please cheer as
results.
loud as you can during the race.
Always the same
However,
people.
be quiet for the start of each race. Please note,
And we're
We,
all
talking about how
swimmers
important it is to be
participating in the
quiet at the
meet
start.
must remain in
yes.
the team area. We
Well,
will
and one
not
thing
be
you also
allowing
notice
team
here,
members
Kathy, is
upstairs during the
um,
meet.
it's a parent-driven sport.
Spectators will
You
not be
have to
allowed
volunteer to be
downstairs during
timers
the
and
meet.
runners and
Please
everything
note,
else.
if you've parked in the
You know.
grass,
Absolutely. They
you
can't
may
do it
be
without
ticketed. Now,
all the people
if you
stepping
are
up.
able, please
That
stand for the
timing
playing
piece is
of our
critical.
national anthem.
So we're going to do our national anthem now, folks. So, Kathy, we're going to be doing some recapping of the boys' night last night. I will announce that Hartford Tech won its first county championship ever.
It's exciting.
So that was really something we've been seeing coming for a couple of years. They have a lot of good boys on their team. But it was close. 316 for Hartford Tech, 314 for Sea Mountain Wright, and 313 for Bel Air. 3 teams within that. There's my son on the screen there with his hat on backwards, coaching Sea Mountain Wright. Try to recap all the other things for you too. But I will want to preview this girls race first. So we're going to have the 200 medley coming up here. And in this first heat, we should have Rising Sun in lane 2, Elkton and Aberdeen. But what I'm confused about here is I'm on the wrong
Looks
sheet.
like
Yes.
Joppatown in lane 1, Elkton in 2, North Hartford in 3, Aberdeen in 4, and Edgewood in 5.
Thank you for catching that. I was
got it.
on the boys sheet. So
Lots of changes this evening, too.
well, and we will have some changes to the program, and we'll do that later. So for you fans at home, lane 6 is the furthest from the camera. Lane 1 is the closest from the camera. So right now we look like we have Elkton in the lead.
Yeah, it looks like
one
Elkton pulled
team.
ahead. Breaststroke leg.
They have some real strong pro swimmers here. And one thing I'd like to do with a shout out here. So my first shout out will be the Rising Sun and Elkton coaches. They are coaching basically their 2 teams together. And Patrick Klein is a 7th-year coach for Elkton, and he is responsible for getting Elkton and Rising Sun and other Cecil County schools on the map. And the coach for Rising Sun is Craig Moran and Mara, and they are great at working together. They've developed some incredible swimmers.
Looks like Edgewood's pulling into the lead at the turn on the fly.
That's the interesting thing about the medley relay that I love. One team may have a dominant flyer, but not have a dominant breaststroker. Another team, we still have Elkton in the lead here, so Edgewood is catching up, but it looks like the outside lane here.
Is that Joppatown?
Oh, you know what? They're just starting their fly. So it is still Elkton leading. And they look like they'll bring it home. They had a girl last year named Pennington who was one of the top swimmers in the county, and her younger sister is swimming this year, and she's very good also.
We should say we're in a location that's not in the pool.
Yes.
So we are watching this remotely.
Good time, good job for Elkton. I want to say the captains for Elkton and Rising Sun are Michael Mara and Sadie Cooper are Elkton, and for Rising Sun it is Landon Reese, and they have small teams, but they have good swimmers.
We have one team still finishing out their race. Really good flip turn.
So I'm going to say something about Joppatown. You and I both know Chris Bly very well. He's been coaching for a long time. He's one of the staples to Hartford County Swimming. This is his 19th year coaching. Joppatown alone, 23 total, because he coached in another county. He's been coaching club, summer swim for 30 years, 11 years for club. They only had 2 or 3 swimmers just a couple years ago, and they have a lot more swimmers this year.
Really trying to grow that program.
Yes, I'm loving seeing it. That's my alma mater. So
he has a strong passion for the sport and has done a lot in Hartford County to.
Oh my gosh, yes. He's like Hartford County's rep for so many things with swimming. And his assistants are Karen Gonzalez, Sam, Katie, and Sean Sharpetta. And to show my age, I coached and taught Karen and Sean.
And Karen was a Teacher of the Year finalist.
Is she really?
She was
Wow.
last year, yeah.
That's awesome. Their captains are Lorenzo Howard and Mary Ellen Van Horn. So now for the big moment here, one of my favorite parts of the meet, the girls medley relay. So what we have here is starting in lane 1, we have Haverty Grace, we have Falston in 2, Sea Mountain Wright in 3, Hartford Tech in 4, Patterson Mill in 5, and Bel Air in 6. All strong teams, but I expect this to come down to between Falston, Sea Mountain Wright, and Hartford Tech. Lacey Pierce leading off for Hartford Tech. Ella Seifert for C. Milton Wright. And then for Falston, I think we said we had Kate
Taylor.
yes. So this will be interesting because these three teams are within literally like
Looks like
a
a second
second.
of each other on paper.
yes.
Yeah, it comes down
So
to who's going to want it
Lacey's-
a little bit more, and is there a strategy involved with these entry times?
Mm-hmm. Ella Seifert's a freshman. So now you have Hannah coming in here for. So we have a lead here. Is that Hartford Tech?
Looked like Falston might have been in the lead. I think that's Abby Schneider for Falston doing breaststroke, and then you have
Yes.
Hannah Silcox, and then the Hartford Tech breaststroker.
I want to say that that is. It's
Moving
had
into
it
the
here.
fly.
The breaststroker for Hartford Tech was probably Hall.
Okay. Really good
Alexis
exchange from
Hall.
breaststroke to fly for Falston. Relays, you only have to have one toe left on the block. As soon as that swimmer touches the wall, as long as there's one toe left, definitely a good relay start will get you an advantage. But looks like they're coming back to the field a little bit here. Hartford Tech is pulling up front. Is that Emerson Young swimming?
Yes. Emerson Young, Bella, Hannah. Oh my. So let's see here. Hartford Tech leading.
Looks like, is that Megan Nguyen?
So you have
Okay.
Megan Nguyen for Tech, and you have Ellie Hansen, and you have Playstead, Lily Playstead, I think, Lucy Playstead closing down here. So it looks like Hartford Tech's going to hold on to this. That was close.
Very close.
C. Milton Wright second, Falston third. So
Great swim for Hartford Tech.
unfortunately, earlier this year, that relay did not get to swim head-to-head against each other. It was just one of those things where two of the Hartford Tech swimmers were not able to be at that meet, and you know, I'm gonna say here that might have been won in the backstroke because I mean she went out really well. Lacey gave them a nice start there. I coached Lacey in summer swim, and she's coached with me and taught swim lessons with me. This is what we say about these swimmers. You know, we've known some of these swimmers since they were little girls.
Yes, I remember seeing Megan. She's about the same age as my daughter when she was probably 6 years old swimming. So
I remember Emerson before she was even a swimmer, just tagging along, watching her older siblings swim, and here she is starring in the county. So that one is and isn't a surprise for me. When three relay teams are seated that closely, no surprise. And C. Milton Wright was only seated like a few tenths ahead of Hartford Tech. So now here we are for the girls' first 200 free relay, freestyle, and I have Riley Fortier from Edgewood in lane 1, Kelly Spickler in lane 2. We're good. Everything okay? Sorry. Check crew was checking my headphones to see if they were okay. Kelly Spickler from Joppatown. We have Brooklyn Nager from Hartford Tech in lane 3. We have Kiara Parker from Joppatown in 4. And does that say Kyrie?
I think it's Kate maybe.
Kate Robertson.
So we have the 200 free. So we have 8 laps of freestyle. Always an interesting strategy. It's not quite a sprint, not quite a distance event. So everybody has their own unique style of how they like to swim it. Some swimmers like to go out fast and try to hold on. If you're a sprinter, that might be your strategy. If you're more of a distance swimmer, you might try to pace it a little bit more. That third 50 is really the 50 that makes or breaks a 200. So be interested to see how this group strategizes on what they want their race to look like.
So Brooklyn Nager is taking it out here, but we have a little push from the outside lane here from Riley Fortier. And like you said, that people have different strategies here. Some people like to take it out. It's psychological. It's a lot like the mile run or the half-mile run in track and field. Do you hurt and make other people hurt and break them, or do you pace off of somebody and know that you have a faster sprint? Now, I wanted to talk to you about that, Kathy. That is a big factor. So, scoring system is the top 16 score points for their team. And that goes towards the team standings for the girls' competition, just like the boys did last night. And then it'll be added together for the overall. The thing is that people don't understand is it's not just the fastest heat, 1 through 6 gets 1 through 6. If you're the fastest swimmer of the second fastest heat, you're the 7th seed, you can move all the way up. Last night, as an example, Nick Masanti for Sea Mountain Right, he was the 7th seed in the 50 free. He moved all the way up to 3rd. He won his heat. Now, you and I have done this for a long time. We've seen swimmers do this the right way, and we've seen swimmers do it the wrong way. Sometimes, especially in an event like a 200 free, 500 free, or 200 IM, if you're the 6th fastest seed, but your times are not quite what the first 5 are, you still got to swim your time, or the 7th seed's going to beat you.
Right, correct. So really important that you at least either stay where you were or try to move up.
And that's when you'll see some of the coaches on the sideline here on the screen at some point frantically waving signals to their swimmers. Now, to those of you that are like watching here, you might think, well, they just seem like they constantly are telling them to swim faster. Well, that's not necessarily true. I mean, when you coached, did you have certain signals that you used on pace, not on pace?
Yeah, definitely. So during a 200, normally the first 100 kind of let them cruise a little bit and see where they are. And then again, that third 50 being the real critical 50 where you want to make your move. Because after that, you only have 2 laps left.
Yes.
And you can give it everything you got. So I would normally, do a signal of some sort. I can't give away all my secrets. But I'd do a signal of some sort if they were on pace or where they needed to be. But it is hard, too, because when you're swimming and if your strategy is to pace, and maybe the rest of the field is off pace, you really want to try to make sure that you're still swimming your race. And I know that's something I always stress with my swimmers. I'm sure these coaches, many of whom I swim with or have coached with over the years at some point, they would be, making sure that their swimmers are where they need to be and hopefully on that strategy that they gave them prior to getting in the pool.
Well, and I know you were a great butterflyer because you won the county championships in it and so forth. Have you ever done the 200 very often?
I was not a fan of anything over 100. I swam the 200 free a few times in college and on some 800 free relays, but that was the extent I normally was doing the sprints. Give me a good 50 free, 100 free, 100 fly. So yeah, no, but the 200 free it's a tough race, and I think it's gotten more and more sprint. At least with this next generation of swimmers. I know when I was swimming, it really was mid-distance. And now it really is one of those races where it's almost gotten to the point that it's a sprint event.
Yes. So, Kathy, you also coached at Fountain Green, have been coaching for many years, and before that, Rock Spring. That's why Kathy knows a lot of these swimmers. So I literally took Kathy for a walk before we got on set because I did not want all these kids walking by her and waving at us and bothering us.
Right, right.
But it is bring you down memory lane when you see these kids and you're like, oh my God, they're seniors in high school. Crazy.
Well, and it really is the great thing about the sport. You get to watch the athletes grow. That's kind of what, fills your cup as a coach is to see them, from the time they're little where maybe they weren't even legal in breaststroke or butterfly.
Oh, yeah.
And then they're out here now, competing for county championships or trying to just do a best time, whatever their goal is. So that's the awesome part about the sport.
So I have here for Heat 2, Leah Gregoria from Havre de Grace in Lane 1, Grace Jergs from Harvard Tech in Lane 2, Ariana Fernandez from Falston in Lane 3, Isabel Duda from North Hartford in Lane 4, Jillian Bacor from Bel-Air in Lane 5, and in Lane 6, I think that's Tara Amando from Aberdeen. So as you're going to see, folks, here, as the heats get more and more, you're going to see really close seed times. And that's what's neat about a county championship type of meet is, in a regular season, lane 3 or 4 might have somebody swimming 10, 15 seconds ahead of the outside lanes. But as you get to these closer heats,
it really tightens up.
Oh my gosh, it's like, like our next heat, the difference between, 4 of our swimmers is only a second.
It should be a great race here. Good starts. You'll see some of the swimmers doing, most everybody at this point does butterfly kick off of their start and their streamline. Way back in the day, you used to do just freestyle kick. I think that fly kick came around in the early 2000s.
Right.
Really good Olympic flyer at that point who really made her name for herself with that underwater fly kick. So you'll see a lot of the swimmers doing that off of the wall. Always a strategy too. How long do you want to stay underwater?
Right.
They have to come up. If you notice, there is a red marker on those lane lines. Not that first marker, but that second marker. They have to break the surface by that point. That really comes into play in the fly and backstroke. But you'll see, different strategies with that too.
Yeah, some of these kids that can streamline forever, they're just amazing. I mean, they literally can stay underwater forever. So one thing I wanted to point out also here was that, in the history of the counties, we used to call them county championships, now they're called UCBAC, there have been 41 overall winners. And Milton Wright has won 22 of them, Falston has won 5, Bel Air 5, John Carroll 5, and Edgewood 4. On the boys' side, yes, we had Hartford Tech for last night. There have been 27. Milton Wright's won 10. Falston's won the most with 11. They had that really strong run back there for a while when they won a couple boys' state championships.
Yes, I wonder who was coaching that.
I don't know. I don't know. That's good information. For the girls' side, there have been 27 girls champions, and Milton Wright's won 14, Bel Air 3, North Hartford 1, Falston 5, and John Carroll 4. I'm dating myself, but I was lucky enough to coach Bel Air and John Carroll back in the day, and
I remember you on the John Carroll sideline when I was swimming for Falston, and always the competition for sure, standing over there.
Yeah, we always try to figure out how to beat that Kathy girl in the fly, and we just couldn't do it. We won a lot of the other events, but not your event. But I'm not holding any grudges.
That's okay. That's okay. I will say the swimmer for Falston right now, so that's Ariana Hernandez. She's having a really great swim, it looks like. I think this is going to be a great time for her.
Yeah, we can't quite see the times, but, this is an example of what I'm talking about moving up. So, like, if she drops big time, she might beat 2 or 3 people in the next heat.
Yeah, and she was, looks like she was only about a second from getting into that third heat. So to your point, she really could move up if she had a great swim there. It looks like she did. And again, we can't see the times, but it looked good.
And for me, this would have been a marathon. I didn't compete in swimming. I was always asked and recruited, but like you talk about your butterfly, they wanted me to swim because I was a fast 50 freestyler and I could swim with the best top people in the county. If I had to do a third lap, Kathy.
No, it wasn't happening.
No. I would have needed oxygen at that point. I was like, I don't know why I can run longer, but I cannot swim longer.
Well, and you do see, most of the sprinters, they have that fast twitch muscle.
Yes.
And they're always ready to go, and you see them behind the block, and then you see what a distance swimmer looks like, and they're a little bit more chill, a little bit more laid back, thinking about their pace and different muscle group that you're using, and a lot different training, especially once you get into the high school and then at the college level for sure.
So in lane 1 here, we have Jamie Magnolia, and in lane 2 for Bel Air, that was for Edgewood. For Bel Air, we have I think that's Mackenzie Leeson. For Milton Wright, in lane 3, Libby Fisher. In lane 4, Jenna Reed. In lane 5, Sophia Lillis for Patterson Mill. And then we have Eleanor Montague. Now, this is an example, and I can talk about this personally here. So I coach Sophia Lillis in the summer, and she coaches with me. So I have a great relationship with her and her family. I know Libby Fisher here from Milton Wright, and it's funny, I know her, and obviously I know the coaches because it's my son and 2 other gentlemen, Tyler Kozar and Charlie Masanti, and Travis Ruse, my wife.
Charlie reminded me that I was old now because I was his coach.
So, some of these kids have swam this all year, and some of them haven't. So, like, I know personally that Libby has only swam this freestyle 200 free one time earlier in the year. And that's because most of their meets are double duels, and your team can only enter 2 people.
Right.
And obviously, if you're swimming a Milton Wright versus a Falston or a Patterson Mill or Hartford Tech or Bel Air, Teams are putting in their older, more experienced swimmers. So very interesting to see what kind of time drops we're going to have here.
And that's a great point too, because if you have somebody who started the season and they did that time maybe back in November or early December, and then now we're in February, hopefully they're in better shape. They've been training hard, over the course of the season. So you may see some time drops that are not unexpected by the coaches, but maybe look on paper like, wow, where did that come from? But
Yes.
hopefully they're in, again, better shape than they were when they swam that. And that's always interesting to see how that looks at this level.
So Libby's closing down a little bit here, but Jenna Reed is still in the lead. Be interesting to see what happens here in the last 35. I think we're in our last 2 laps here. You get different breathing patterns here too.
Yeah, I was noticing that as they were panning in. You'll see some swimmers do bilateral breathing, breathing to both sides. Normally in a 200, one of my pet peeves, anybody who knows me knows my number one pet peeve is breathing off of the wall.
Right.
So that's, one of the things that you always try to work with your swimmers on. But that bilateral breathing definitely balances out the stroke a little bit. But there's some strategy in that too, because some kids are more comfortable only breathing to one side. And in a 200, you want to make sure you have enough oxygen. The 50, you really shouldn't be breathing very much at all. But
So it looks like Jenna Reed held on first, followed by Libby Fisher for Sea Mountain Wright. So let me prepare us here for the next heat here. This is where you're really going to start. Like some of the girls in that last heat will definitely score for their teams. But really here, you're going to see, like, for example, there is more of a time gap here, but if somebody here can really pop a good time, they might be able to move up. So we have Maggie Olson in lane 1 for Patterson Mill, Emily Everett in lane 2 for Patterson Mill, Megan Lintz for Bel Air in lane 3, Cecilia Gonzalez for Aberdeen in lane 4, Emily Ewers for Haverty Grace in 5, and Caitlin Welker for Patterson Mill in 6. So already you can see that Megan Lintz is taking this race out slightly. But let's see here. And so much of this, Kathy, is what you just said. Streamlines off the wall, holding your streamline. Again, what you just said for your pet peeve, it is definitely one of mine.
yes, because that's something you can practice every single day. It just takes a little remembering to do that.
Yes. I forgot to start my time here. I wanted to see how this compared to the next heat. And swimming is more psychological than you realize.
For
So
sure.
you're swimming in an outside lane. It's hard to motivate yourself to if they're breaking away from you, to stay with them and swim for the clock.
Right. And that's what we were talking about earlier, is really try to stick with your strategy. You use the people around you as best you can to make sure you're, not totally falling off the pace. But no matter what, you need to make sure you finish your race and you get in there and hopefully do the best that you can do on that given day. So really nice shot there, a swimmer for Bel Air, it looks like. No breathing off of the wall. That
Yes.
looks great. They look like they're doing a really great job here. Again, it's a lot of strategy. She's got a lot of kick going there. And again, when we get into these later heats, it looks like thinking about more that of a sprint type of event
Right.
versus that longer stroke.
So that's Megan Lintz coming in here for the win for the 4th of 5 heats.
We got one more 50.
Oh, my bad. Yeah.
I wasn't sure. This is one of those, the only event you'll see where there's going to be counting tonight's going to be the 500.
She's got a nice
Another
stroke.
thing, too, when you talk about mental, make sure you don't miscount.
Yes.
So some swimmers like to think of it in terms of 450s if you're doing a 200, or it could just be 825s. But it's lengths of the pool.
I like what you said before. It applies to swimming and track and field, yes. So I think the third quarter of the race is the most important, because psychologically you can make yourself start fast. You're racing right from the beginning. You're going to race in the last 50 of a 200, the last 25 of a 100. But it's that third one where you can see a lot of people fall off on their times.
Right. Well, that's where you start to feel a little bit of pain. You get a little bit of that lactic acid buildup. Again, I was a sprinter, so I didn't really like to feel that lactic acid as much, which is why I would like to get out after the 100, but you
Right.
definitely start feeling it. And if you decided to take it out quick, that'll definitely be that point in the race where, your muscles are burning, and you just got to really push through. And that's where a lot of the training comes into play, too.
Oh, definitely.
So, when you think about they're only swimming 8 laps, but, these swimmers are actually training in practice to swim at 200. You're probably doing 5 200s.
So let me get this one here. We have Noelle Brown from Seamount Wright in lane 1, Lily Allman from Falston in lane 2, Lucy Playstead from Falston in lane 3, Sienna Pahola from Seamount Wright in lane 4, Carolyn Pennington from Elkton in lane 5, and Val Angelo from North Hartford. You got to have 2 races here. You have the middle 3 girls, Allman, Playstead, and Pahola, whose seed times are higher or better, and that should be your first 3 places most likely. Now, here's the psychological battle. You have Noelle Brown in lane 1 who can't really see Carol Pennington and Val Angelo.
Right.
And they have very comparable times. So what are they going to do?
Right. And knowing Noelle, because I've probably coached her on Fountain Green on and off since she was probably 6, maybe 7 years old. She definitely is more of a distance type swimmer. So she likes to take it out a little bit smoother and really pace it. So to your point, she can't see those other lanes. Hopefully the coaches will be on the side cheering her on. And, she'll get into the race. So she's looking like she's swimming really strong right now.
So
but
right
it is
now,
hard to see. You really can't see past those lanes.
Right now you have Lucy Playstead in the lead for Falston. Sienna Pahola is on one side of her, see if she's closing it down at all. And then another Falston teammate, Lily Allman, is right there with Sienna Pahola. Looks like a really good battle for second place going here.
Yeah, definitely between, it looks like Sienna and, what is it, lane 3?
Lily Allman.
Yeah.
Lily Allman. So
can C. Milton get in there in between Falston is going to be the question.
Yes. Well, that's where the seating is. And Sienna looked like she had a very good turn and streamline there. Gained a little bit of a half a body length on Lily. But here's the funny thing about swimming. Some people were faster in the middle 20.
Yes,
and other people have good walls.
Right. So I know I was always a swimmer who had really good walls, and then try to hold on while you're actually doing the swimming portion. But yeah, that's definitely again the strategy of how long do you stay under for.
So the seeds placed where they were. So Lucy Playstead looks like she's going to be our champion, followed by Sienna Pahola and Lily Allman. So very good race.
Lady Cougars 1 and 3. Is that 1 and 3? First and third?
I saw that the last one to come in was Val Angelou from North Hartford. And it looks like, Falston was 1 and 3. It looks like Noelle Brown and Caroline Pennington were 4-5, but we didn't get to see the finish. But we'll get those results soon, folks. So we will be getting results at the end of each race. So now we have our first heat of the 200 IM. And we have Brooke Lewis from Joppatown in lane 2, Rowan Michael from Edgewood in lane 3, and Addison Whitaker from Hartford Tech in lane 4. So I love this event, Kathy. I love it because you have some people that are good at all 4. You have other that are great at 2, okay at 1, and they hope for the best on the other one.
Right. It's really hard to be good at all 4 strokes because you think about the amount of practice time you have.
Right.
Trying to train all 4 strokes is really a challenge, and especially when you get to this level and you're more specializing in one event or another. So breaststroke normally makes or breaks the IM.
Yes.
I would say normally if you have somebody with a really strong breaststroke, because again, it's the third 50.
So I can use my own daughter, who you coach, Jamie Ruse, now Jamie Fonio. And yes, Kathy, you are her favorite coach of all time. She tells me that all the time.
All my swimmers are my favorites, but she holds a special place in my heart for sure.
Well, and then she coached at Sea Mountain Wright for a while with another person you coached, Emily Jordan. And we used to laugh at Jamie when she was first doing club because she is a butterflyer in the backstroker, as you know.
Yes.
And she would be ahead of even the best of the best in the first half of the race, whether it was a 100 IM, a 200 IM, and he's even done a couple 400 IMs. but we always said, why did that piano jump on your back when you got to the breaststroke?
Breaststroke.
So once she improved her breaststroke, she was able to maintain being a very good IMer. But we've seen all extremes of this. But you are exactly right. Definitely the breaststrokers seem to be
They have
great
an advantage,
IMers.
yeah, because if you can get to freestyle
Mm-hmm.
and somebody's still swimming breaststroke,
Yes.
you know, that is definitely, that last 50 can really bring it home.
Mm-hmm.
Do you
So
want to, oh, go ahead, sorry.
looks like we have, you know, Rowan Michael is keeping the lead here for Edgewood High School, and she does look like she has a good breaststroke.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, interesting with the strokes. So when you think about, you know, backstroke and freestyle really being that long axis stroke,
Mm-hmm.
breaststroke is a little bit of the rarity. I also think fly is a little bit of the rarity as well. You got to have real strong rhythm in fly.
Mm-hmm.
And breaststroke, same thing, but it's a lot more, you know, leg-driven stroke, and it's that short axis stroke versus
Mm-hmm.
what you're looking at in backstroke or freestyle. So
I will say Addison and Brooke did gain some on her in the breaststroke here. So now we're
Coming
going to
into
see who has
freestyle.
the freestyle.
And you'll see the officials are standing at the end of the lanes.
Mm-hmm.
Shout out to the officials. That's a lot of work. I did that for about a year. Very different than coaching, I will say. Really looking for those technical aspects of the sport. You know, making sure when you come in for breaststroke that they're touching with two hands. That pull out on the breaststroke, there's a certain, I guess, rhythm to that. You get one
Mm-hmm.
pull, one kick, and then you got to come up. So again, shout out to the official crew this evening, all volunteers, I
Oh,
believe.
definitely.
Yeah. So here we go, coming in for the freestyle. This is the last 5 yards.
Yeah, Rowan held them off. She had good turns on her freestyle, and so going to the official thing, I was considered a pretty good soccer player and a good coach, and I tried refereeing, and I was like, I'm going to stick to playing and coaching. It is a tough job. Now, at least in swimming, you don't really have too many people yelling at you or on you, but you do have to deal with the annoying coaches. We were one of them, going up and down the sideline and getting in your way.
Yes,
How
while
many
they're trying to
times-
walk strokes, yes.
How many times have we been pushed aside by officials?
Yes. So my dad officiated high school probably, I don't even know, maybe more than 20 years.
Mm-hmm. So I give him credit. So right now we have Jenny Phillips from Falston in lane 1, Kendall Chandler from North Hartford in lane 2, Mav Alliger for Bel Air in lane 3, Maddie Birch from Falston in 4, and Peyton Ivy in lane 5 from North Hartford. And I'm happy to say that I love seeing these faces. Peyton used to take swim lessons with me, and I'm glad to see that she's swimming.
And it looks like Maeve is a very strong butterflyer to the point
Mhm.
of, you know, how do you want to swim this race? Got to work to your strength. And you'll see that nice good turn again on fly. You have to have that two-hand touch as you come into the wall. Backstroke, as we were talking about, you know, you're not going to see too many people going from fly to back and staying underwater for 15 yards at this point in their career. You may see that at the Olympic level or international level. But the turns here, you can see too that the officials are going to be watching for that. So interesting turns when you're looking at it. Really, you get one stroke and you have to push off on your back. And coming into this wall here, they're looking to make sure that that swimmer is not past vertical. You'll see again the official standing there. And then what does that breaststroke pull out look like? You get one pull all the way down, one kick, a fly, and then you got to come up. One fly kick is allowed now. I wish they would have had that when I was swimming. That would have helped me tremendously on breaststroke. So she's looking really strong here. Again, we're in a separate part of the building, so we're not hearing all the cheering that I know is going on down there for all of their teammates.
Well, all I can tell you right now is the seed times were fairly close, but Maeve Alliger from Bel Air really looks like she's going to drop time. I have the results here, Kathy, from the 200 freestyle, and to do a quick recap, both top two swimmers dropped times. So Lucy Playstead dropped over 2 seconds from her seed time, and Sienna Pajola dropped 1.5 seconds. So they should be proud of themselves. But the biggest thing I see here is Megan Lintz went from a 2:29 to a 2:18
Wow.
to move all the way up
Great
to fourth
swim.
place, and many
Senior
other
year,
people.
too.
Yes, so lots of good swims.
Great last swim
Yes.
for your up-back championship. That's fantastic.
Well, you know, training and skill and technique and everything else are everything. But you know what? At the championship meets, adrenaline means more than people realize.
It does, and you really have to get up for the races and, you know, having
Mhm.
that motivation. I think Tech, you know, in that first relay that they won, maybe coming off of that high from the boys winning last night,
Right?
really gets you amped up. It makes a big difference. And we talked about the mental aspect of the sport. You got to have that motivation and that drive. You will see a lot of the kids when you swim and represent your high school, swimming best times that they may not
Oh,
even go
yes.
at club team, because it means so much to them to, you know, get that championship or get those points for their team. It makes such a big difference when you're really going for it. And it's not just about you. It is a team sport. And that's really, you know, what it's all about at these types of meets.
So one thing you're going to see here, and I'm going to preview the next heat here. Anyhow, we got for coming up for the next race, we're going to have Lydia White in lane 1. We're going to have Gianna Cintros in lane 2 from Aberdeen. We're going to have Danielle Drennan from Bel Air in lane 3. We're going to have Sophie Lapano from Patterson Mill in lane 4. Braylon Howard from Sea Mountain Wright in lane 5. And Sophie Bonacontri from North Hartford in lane 6. So, you know, these are the races where what can, you know, the first seed of this next heat, Danielle Drennan, her time is within 2 seconds of the 6th seed.
Right. So,
So,
trying to move up and
yeah.
get into that, you know, 6th, 5th, whatever that's going to be, and just have a great swim. Got to win your heat
Mm-hmm.
if you're seeded to win. They're getting ready to
You see one
pop up
person
on the block here.
jumping up and down
Yeah.
pre-race there, Danielle Drennan. Different people have different ways to prep themselves for a race. Some of them are the silent types that are just in their head, you know, thinking out their start and their race and their turns. And you got other ones that are jumping up and down and doing jumping jacks.
Yes. Clapping, you'll see some of that going on too. A
Mhm.
little bit of that sometimes can be intimidation depending on the swimmer. Looks like Danielle's a pretty strong flyer, going out pretty quick.
Mhm.
I think she has a background in gymnastics as
Yes.
well, from what I understand. You'll see a lot of gymnasts when they come on and they decide they're going to swim, which I always love that. You know, want to
Mhm.
bring new people into the sport. They seem to always trend towards fly. I think it just kind of comes natural with all that upper body strength. Going into the backstroke leg here.
I love seeing the now what we're going to watch here, we get a more view of the whole pool, is who is your backstroker now, who is going to be there. Like I know Braylon Howard is in lane 5 and she's in 5th place right now. She is a breaststroker.
Right.
So her strategy is to stay close and then
And
hopefully pass people.
Sophie Lapano is a great breaststroker from what I remember, having coached her for a few years on Fountain Green. You'll see with backstroke too, the tempo really makes that big difference. You see some swimmers with a little bit longer stroke, but you want to really try to get that tempo going as best you possibly can.
Mhm.
That's really the trick in backstroke. Going into the breaststroke leg here.
It's ironic. I coached Sophie Lapano also before you at Maryland Golf. Wonderful family, great girls, great parents. So we've got, you know, she's extending her lead here for Danielle Drennan. I haven't seen a weak stroke for her yet.
No, looks like really solid IM. And again, that's really hard to do, to be solid in all 4 strokes. You'll see a difference too in the breaststroke styles. You see that pretty much at every level of swimming. You have some of those swimmers who I would say are more water bugs. They're more on top of the water,
Right.
not coming out quite as high, more leg driven. But again, it's all about timing with breaststroke, and critical to try to make sure that timing is just right. You want to be making sure you're moving forward the whole time. I know I used to stand at the end of the lane and yell forward, forward. So really good looking freestyle here too. She's really pulling away, it looks like.
So what I talked about before, and we'll have to see if she holds on to 5th, but Braylon Howard did pull ahead of her outside lane competitor in the breaststroke. So now will she be able to hold on to the
In the
freestyle? And I know Braylon, and she is a super smart young lady and great student. she has a kind of GPA that I'd have to like add my first and second semester
uh-huh.
to match hers. So
Some of these student athletes just are amazing when you think about what they're doing in the pool and outside of the pool. I know we went down to the gym earlier where they were sitting waiting for their events, and many of them had their books out doing homework. It was interesting to see. I don't think I was doing that when I was swimming.
no.
So very impressive.
My coaches in sports were trying to get me under control and tell me to stop goofing off.
Yeah.
You know, I've been on buses to and from practices, and we talked about that. These kids have to do these bus rides to and from practice.
Yeah.
So here we are
Final
in the
heat of the 200 IM.
final heat. We have Hannah Silcox from Simult Wright in lane 1, Catherine Whipke from Edgewood in lane 2, Abby Snyder, your favorite, in lane 3 from Falston, Megan Wynn from Hartford Tech in lane 4, Maddie Hoyer from Falston in 5, and Molly Cooper from Patterson Mill.
And when we talk about breaststroke being, you know, kind of that critical stroke, you have, it looks like 1, 2, 3, I would say 4 of the 6 definitely known as breaststrokers, probably swimming the 100 breaststroke tonight. So it'll be an interesting race as this shapes up. Looks like Abby Snyder's really going out her senior year at Falston.
She used to be known really as a flyer, and now she's really gotten good at her, as a breaststroker, and now she's gotten really good at the butterfly also.
Really nice underwater.
Now you're going to see differences in strokes here, and I won't say who was what, but I saw 2 swimmers at the same distance from a wall, and one of them on their turn of the fly did one more stroke of short stroke because she was there. The other one did a longer glide.
Always tricky to figure out, you know, how do you want to get into the wall? You don't want to jam in so that you don't have enough room really to turn and you're stuck, but you also don't want to be too far that you're gliding in and you're losing that momentum. So, you know, one of the things I know we talk about coaching-wise is count your strokes. Make sure you know. So if your goggles fall off, you should know exactly how many strokes it's going to take you to get from one end of the pool to the other. Really nice breaststroke. This is a very classic breaststroke coming out of the water, really extending. You can see that nice forward motion, really key in breaststroke, and she's extending her lead here a little bit, it looks like.
So we got a really close race for 3rd, 4th, 5th, and 6th. You know, even though there's 2 on each side of the pool, they're really close with each other.
Yeah, definitely is going to come down to that freestyle leg, it looks like. You really want to try to get in there, get on that freestyle before, you know, while everybody else is still doing breaststroke. Freestyle is the fastest of all of the strokes, and really want to make sure you get to that leg as quick as possible.
So Abby Snyder is really taking this race out here, and even though her seed time is 2:21, she is definitely going into the teens and is fully capable of that. So interesting to see.
And again, we're in a separate location, so we are getting the view. Here we go. Looks like first place is going to be Falston.
Yeah, Abby Snyder. And looks like Megan Wynn is probably going to come in second here from what I saw. No,
yeah,
yes.
Megan Wynn.
Yes.
And then lane 2, is that Catherine Whipke?
Yes.
Edgewood.
Followed by Hoyer, Maddie Hoyer, and looks like Hannah Silcox is 5th, which was her seed,
Yeah,
and Molly Cooper 6th.
Maddie Hoyer, a freshman. Great swim for all the ladies.
That's another event that's too painful for me to think about. This would be the event that I would have done.
Yes, 100%. And we have our current record holder who's going to be swimming this event this evening.
Yeah, she has a shot at her record, especially since she's going to have Gabriella Rosso and Ellie Hansen on both sides of her, 2 outstanding swimmers. So first heat here for the 50 freestyle, we have lane 2, Shivani Pandita, and then lane 3 for Falston, Layla Doddard for Joppatown, Michaela Phillips in lane 4, and Samia Barksdale from Aberdeen.
Yeah, and you'll notice from the start we had one swimmer who was under a little bit longer. You know, again, we're talking about what do those underwaters look like and what's your strategy? You know, do you want to stay under? If you were really good on those off the walls and off the block, it's a really great strategy. And again, it's a start, a turn, and a finish really is all you have in that 50 free. So not a whole lot of thinking goes into this one. You just got to go.
Yes.
You can see a lot of white water, good kicking going on, coming into the wall.
So
Looks
it's,
like, is that lane 4?
yeah. Looks like she's still in the race here. She was not top
Kayla
seed.
Phillips.
Yeah. So
And again, she can move up. You know, you never know. In a 50, it is going to be really tight. And one little thing that you do might make a big difference. So you
Yes.
take that extra breath, or you have that turn that goes really well, it can really decide what the race is going to look like.
So what's neat about the 50 free is, to your point, all 6 people in the fast heat, especially in the boys, could be within a half a second with each other.
Right.
And then, yes, they're all strong. They're all fast. But the dive and the turn could be the difference of the race.
100%.
You know, and so right now for this second heat, we're going to have Emily Smith from Aberdeen in lane 1, Kelly Coffey from Jopptown in lane 2, Mackenzie Plume from North Hartford in 3, Layla Solis from Patterson Mill in 4, Ashley Woods from Edgewood in 5, and Dayanara Hernandez from Jopptown in lane 6.
You'll see one of the things that the starter, who is the one that is actually executing the go signal, which is that beep that you hear at the start, looking for, as soon as they say take your mark, to make sure there isn't any movement on the block.
Right.
That's one of the things that they're looking at. Sometimes they'll say stand up. That can definitely throw you off a little bit if you're in the zone. But some really great turns, it looks like, down there. Flip turns, always something that's challenging, especially if you're just coming into the sport to learn. I know we spend a lot of time on that summer swimming, and even at high school level, trying to make sure those turns are as fast as possible. You want to get in and out of that wall. Really great finish there. Did not breathe into the wall. I know one of the things we say is don't breathe from the flags in.
Well, one thing I will tell you to that point about the starts, and it happened in the boys 50 free last night. The official had to tell the swimmers to stand back up because 2 of the swimmers did not have their front foot's toes over the blocks.
Right.
And they didn't understand what was going on. One of the swimmers is getting out on the side. I thought they were going too long here. So we're going to get ready to take a break here from swimming, but they're going to do some results here and some awards. So I'm going to recap a little bit.
And a couple more heats of the 50.
So when we get to the break here, I will recap the boys' meet for your fans at home that didn't get to see last night's meet. So lane 1, Sydney Chasing, Patterson Mill. Lane 2, Maggie Lehman, North Hartford. Lane 3, Audrey Miller, Elkton. Lane 4, Isabella Jackson, Aberdeen. Lane 5, Marilia Ellen Van Horn, Joppatown. And lane 6, Riley Grody from Havre Grace. I am seeing some real impressive swims and time drops from the Jopptown swimmers tonight here. But right now it looks like we have Audrey Miller from Elkton taking this race.
Yeah, and again, you see then, trying to keep that head down and get into the wall. You want to get that hand on the wall. They have touch pads there for those who are not familiar with swimming. If you're just tuning in to see this evening, that is the first method of trying to collect the time, and then you have the timers as the backup, and there's a plunger that's also used to try to make sure that the time is as accurate as possible. But you want to try to hit that touchpad right in the middle and really get in there.
So coming up for the 4th heat of the girls 50 freestyle, we will have Victoria Danielek Zik. I apologize. Isabel Stoughton for Hartford Tech in lane 2. Samantha Clausen for Elkton in 3. Bella Sargent from Bel Air in 4. Caitlin Lorenzo from C. Milton Wright in 5. And Abigail Eichler from Aberdeen in lane 6. And I didn't say it, but Victoria in lane 1 is from North Hartford.
Yeah, and you can see this is probably the one event where you're going to see that whitewater the entire first and second lap. It looks like lane 4. Great swim for the Bel Air swimmer. Is that
Bella Sargent?
Bella Sargent.
Yeah. Okay, I will already start telling you the 5th heat because these 50s go fast,
Go
Kathy.
quick. We only got less than 30 seconds on this.
I know. Brooke Petts from Havre Grace will be in lane 1. Maddie Smith from Bel Air will be in lane 2. Kiara Kanzler from Bel Air will be in lane 3. Lillian Dowd from Bel Air will be in lane 4. Morgan Wood from Seamount Wright in 5. And Emma Huss from Elkton in lane 6. See the different ways people prepare for the block. Some people stand straight up, others already halfway down before they tell them to set.
Yep, and you can see the start too. Some people pull back a little bit further on the block and they really want to slingshot forward. Sometimes you'll have your head up, your head down. A lot of that is what's the swimmer most comfortable with. Of course, you know, you'll have coaches say this way is better than that way, but it all comes down to what works best for, you know, that swimmer. Everybody's such an individual in this sport, which is, you know, the beautiful thing about it also within the team. But looks like lane 3 coming in.
Yeah. That was Kiara Kanzler from Bel Air, fighting out with some of her own teammates.
Right. We had Bel Air winning the heat before, and then Bel Air winning that heat as well.
So for the 6th of 7 heats, lane 1 we have Alex Ryan, lane 2 we have Hannah Persing, lane 3 we have Lacey Pierce, lane 4 we have Cassidy Howells, and then we have Jordan Bell in lane 5 and Sadie Greer in lane 6.
We'll see how they get set. And again, in the stands and on the deck, try to make it as quiet as possible so that all the swimmers have a good chance to start. Really focused on what they're trying to accomplish here. You don't want to miss hearing that. That's going to go well.
So these last few heats is when you're really going to see some water churning.
And you can see the tempos. Compare this to the 200 free,
right,
how fast their tempo is with their strokes. And again, the kick. You're going to see more of a 6-beat kick. We'll see later on tonight in the 500. You're not going to see as much white water. Oh, looks like Hartford Tech maybe.
That was close.
I don't know. That's going to be tough.
That was close race right there. So we're up for our 7th and final heat here, Kathy, and we got Alex Hall from Hartford Tech in lane 1. We're gonna do the replay here of this finish here.
Yeah, who got that?
I want to say Hartford Tech just edged out Havre de Grace, but I'm not sure.
Okay, I'm not sure. It could have been Havre de Grace finished under, and that's one of the things we talked about earlier too, is who got their hand on the wall. Because you see, oh, it might be like a Michael Phelps, Daniel Kavik situation. Looks like lane 4 might have actually finished underneath the water, where the swimmer in 3 took that extra stroke, where she really needed it.
So we have Alex Hall here, Ellie Hansen in 2, Emerson Young in 3, Gabriella Arasso in 4, Emily Facken in 5, Lily Pasquale in 6. Emerson has the record here, so it could be interesting to see if she could break her own record. Ellie Hansen is very close to Arasso for, can't tell who was 2 and 3 there. So Emerson was seated first there. Her seed time was 24.72. Giving a hug to friend and teammate on club, Ellie Hansen. Emerson's record is 24.28 she set last year. So I look forward to seeing those results.
See how close she was to that, or did she break it? She looks pretty happy. You will see the girls, great sportsmanship. Love to see that. We talked a little bit about how many of these kids swim together. They'll start in summer league when they're, 4 or 5 years old. It just seems to get younger and younger every year. And then they'll be together, you know, for several years. And it doesn't matter what team they're on, because some of these summer clubs are so big. They'll get to swim together, and then you have club teams. Really like close-knit community because of the dedication that these athletes really have to have. I know Gabriella, for instance, I talked to her mom, and they're driving down to their club team, which is in the Baltimore area. So, you know, doing those early mornings and having to do high school practice, try to figure out how you're getting all your athletic or your schoolwork done in addition to anything else. And I know her other sport is lacrosse. I can't imagine you know, all of that. So, and then Emerson, you know, swimming on a club team, the commitment that they have to have. These kids are swimming, you know, probably 2 to 3 hours a day.
Oh my gosh.
And then when we talk about high school season, because there's 3 pools in the county, they all have to travel to the pools. And it's a huge commitment on the part of the coaches and on the part of the swimmers, because it's not just, you know, staying after school. You know, are going to have to account for that time on the bus. And many times it's a half an hour or more each way to get to the pool, but all worth it. They so dedicated between the families and all the coaches and the athletes.
So I'm going to do a quick recap here of our earlier events. In the girls medley relay, Hartford Tech was first place with Lacey Pierce, Alex Hall, Emerson Young, and Megan Wynn. C. Milton Wright was second place with Ella Seifert, Hannah Silcox, Bella Hanna, and Ellie Hansen. And very nice close race. Came down to .31.
159.32 and a 159.63
Yes.
between first and second.
And then Falston came in right behind with Kate Taylor, Abby Snyder, Lily Allman, and Lucy Playstead. So they're going to get ready to announce these awards. You'll be seeing them on the screen, getting their awards. But I wanted to read those names since you on our telecast will not be able to hear the announcer on the poll deck. Fourth place was Patterson Mill with Emily Everett, Hannah Persing, Molly Cooper, and Gabrielle Rosso. And then Bel Air, fifth with Emily Fatkin, Lydia White, Daniela Drinnen, and Megan Lintz. Havre Grace came in sixth with Geneva Seitz, Brooke Petz, Cassidy Howells, and Emily Ewers. So in the 200 freestyle, as we had said, Lucy Playstead pulled out the first place and swam a 2:10.32. And then Sienna Pahala had a great race for second place with a 2:11.24. And then Lily Allman was third with a 2:15.38, held her seed. And then we had coming in behind the top three, Megan Lintz, as we said, dropped a ton of time to get fourth place. Carolyn Pennington from Elkton came in fifth. Noelle Brown from C. Milton Wright came in on sixth place.
And it looks like all the swimmers dropped time.
Yes.
That top, really even the top 15, it looks like at first glance.
Well, as I
Great
told
swim.
you, like looking at Libby Fisher, she was seated 13th place and she dropped from 2:37 to 2:30.
Right.
And she's only a freshman and she moved all the way up to 10th place. So in the 200 IM, as expected, Abby Snyder finished first place and she dropped 3 seconds, going all the way down to 2:18.63. And Megan Wynn dropped a second and a half to get second place with a 2:25.88. Catherine Whipke, always a strong swimmer for Edgewood, swam a 2:29.39 for third. Maddie Hoyer, swimming just her best time by a split second, got 2:32.77 for her fourth place. And senior captain C. Milton Wright, Hannah Silcox, swam a 2:35.26 to hold on to fifth. And then Molly Cooper held her seed and got sixth place with a 2:37.89. But to my point before, Danielle Drinnen finishing seventh place and winning that other heat,
Right.
she only missed sixth place by like .15. So that
Very,
shows
very
you
close. Yeah.
what you got to do there. In the 50 free, not surprising, Emerson did not get a record, but I would officially say it's probably the second fastest 50 free in Harford County history. Swam a 24.59, only 3.31 off of her record. And then Ellie Hansen, wow, what a great swim. 26.35 seed time, dropping down to 25.86.
That's a big deal going from 26 to 25.
Yes, I think that's her first, and she's excited about that. Gabriella Rosso coming in at third at 26.02. Fourth place, Emily Fatkin, arguably Bel Air's best swimmer, swimming fourth place with a 27.67. Fifth place, Alex Hall from Hartford Tech, 27.74. And Cassidy Howell from Havre Grace must have touched out Lacey Pierce in that previous heat, barely, because she got sixth place with a 27.81 compared to Lacey having a great swim and getting seventh place with a 27.82,
Right,
1/100th of a
right.
second.
Yep.
So what I have in my calculations at this point, so for the girls team standings after 4 events, we have Falston in first place with 120 points, C. Milton Wright in second with 104, Hartford Tech in third with 95, Patterson Mill with 92 in fourth place, and Bel Air Bobcats in fifth place with 86 points. So
Yeah, very close between third and fourth.
So they're going to have the next event coming up soon. But I'm going to take this opportunity, Kathy, to discuss last night's meet a little bit for the boys. As I said, 2-point separation, 1 point from second to third between Sea Mountain Wright and Bel Air. So, wow, you
That
have
is
a
an exciting
combined
event, yeah.
950 points between 3 teams, and here you are with only 3 points separating them.
Right. All those little things mattered last night, it sounds like.
Yes. So they're getting ready to do the awards here. You have Debbie Basler. She is the superintendent of secondary physical education and athletics for Harford County. Debbie is a friend of both of ours, and we've known her for a long time. She was a former physical education teacher at Edgewood High School and athletic director, and an outstanding volleyball player and coach.
Yes. Great advocate for all things sports and high school athletics for Harford County.
This is
Very
the part,
dedicated.
This is the part where they're trying to corral the swimmers.
Right.
So-
Everybody get out of the pool. You've done enough cooling down or warming up. It's time to come and get your awards. And I want to talk, I guess the first award's going to be for the relay, right?
Yes.
So we talked earlier, the relays, I think we said,
Mhm.
are double points. So with some of these scores being so close, those relays are really
Yes.
going to matter.
Yes.
Double the points for the relays. So
Now, you do have a rare coaching move that you can do. Technically speaking, you're either allowed to enter your athletes in 2 individual events and 2 relays, or you can choose to enter them in 1 individual event and 3 relays.
right. So what do
So-
you do there? It's some strategy.
It's rare that it's done for the 1-3, but every once in a while you get that kid that is a 50 free specialist.
Right. Or maybe just a 100 breaststroker.
Yes.
Right.
So, but sometimes if a kid is that sprint specialist, you can put him on your anchor of the medley relay. So here's Falston was up on there in third. One of the also more difficult things of high school swimming, and that you really cringe at as a coach, is fitting these people on the podium
Yes.
without
Don't
anybody
lose
falling down.
Don't lose anybody, and it's great to get first, but that's a long way up and a long way down. So everybody stay together, but I think they're also excited at this point. Hopefully we're not letting anybody fall off the podium. But yeah, really exciting night. This is what they've been working so hard for. Great, again, to represent your school. Do it for your team. If you're a little bit tired tonight,
Yes.
or you had a rough day at school, because of course all these athletes had to be at school today and then come out here and swim their hardest tonight. You know, the extra motivation from the teammates you see there behind them, cheering for them.
Yeah, this is a great group of girls right here. 12 outstanding swimmers. You have Bella Hanna there stepping off the podium for Sea Mountain Wright. She's an interesting story. She's the top seed in the fly and the back tonight. And she's
They're
one
all
of those,
helping each other off the podium.
yes, she's one of those kids that she was an outstanding club swimmer who basically gave it up in 7th or 8th grade.
Mm-hmm.
And she hasn't swam since then, but she decided to come back out
for
this
high
year
school swimming,
as
yeah.
a senior.
That's great.
And she's winning, and she's a great addition to the team. She's like a coach's dream. She just does her event, what you ask her to, doesn't complain. You see Ellie Hansen walking across the screen there, another one of those coach's dreams. I've watched her swim for 2 years now, and you can use her as a textbook for a video textbook for swim training, swim technique. Her starts are perfect, her turns are perfect.
Right. That's
So here
great.
you have the girls 200
200 free.
freestyle here. Looks like Lily Ullman got her award. And now we have Sienna Pahala coming up. And then Lucy Playstead with first place will be announced now. You'll see some of these kids give each other hugs. They're friends. They've grown up swimming together. They've known each other for years.
Yes.
Last night when Colin O'Hare won his 500 free and Luke Pahala finished second, they gave each other a great embrace across the lane line. And I asked Colin later on, he was our champion, and I said, you know, what did you feel about your race? And he said, I really want to thank my coaches, my competitors, my teammates for helping push me, and which was really great for him to say. And I said, looks like you and Luke are good friends. He goes, yeah, we are, and we've been swimming together and against each other for years. And you like to see that. They
No,
root for each
100%.
other.
Yes. That's, again, the great thing and the beauty of the sport. It makes the community so tight. You know, they're together for years and years and years. All that dedication and commitment you
Mhm.
have to have. You know that the swimmer in the lane next to you has just the same amount of commitment and dedication. Definitely respect that. There's your winner in the 200 IM.
Yep. So your top three there announced: Abby Snyder first, Megan Wynn second, and Catherine Whipke third. And these are the kind of swimmers that you'll see that could swim 5 events.
Right.
So Abby could have swam the fly. She's swimming the breaststroke, but she could have swam the fly also. Megan Wynn is doing the IM here and finishing second, but she's also a great fly and backstroker. And Catherine Whipke is doing the IM here, and you'll see her later on the breaststroke. She's one of the top seeds as well.
Yeah, and the question is, you're up on the podium. When's your next event? Who's swimming
Right.
fly? Probably Megan, I would think. You're a little
Yes.
stressed out at this point. Give me my medal and let me go get behind the block for my next thing.
Yes.
Always strategy too when you think about you can, you know what Ray was talking about when you can either do 3 relays in one event or 2 events and 2 relays. You really have to be selective in what you pick. And
Yes.
sometimes you got to think about the timing. You know, I remember putting a kid in the 100 fly and then the 100 free, not realizing, you know, rookie mistake of coaching back in the day. It was not quite enough turnaround time for them to get fully recovered.
And it depends
So-
on the person too.
Yes.
So Simon Ray did that last night with Ryan Pham, and he got a personal best time in the fly, getting
He was
third.
nice and warmed up.
And then he came back and he got his next one, and he still got a best time in the free and finished sixth.
Yeah, and think about how hard that is to do.
So this is pure speed here. I want to put these 3 girls and 1 more on the same relay in a club meet. That would be like something amazing to look at.
Yeah, phenomenal athletes.
You can and you can't teach speed, Kathy. I mean, it's like you gotta
either
have it.
or you don't.
Yes.
Yeah. You can work it a little bit, but you definitely, it is a natural talent for sure. And then you just have to be in the right program that's going to make sure that you're not sacrificing technique and doing extra yardage that might make you a little bit slower. So yeah, being in that right situation.
So 3 young ladies that have less body fat in their entire bodies combined than I have in my
No.
Dr. Pepper belly alone here. And they're all muscle. They're strong as can be. But yeah, you have that fast twitch muscle fiber. And, you know, I attribute it to track and field. You can take an average 100 dash runner and make him a pretty good 400 runner and maybe a field event person. But if they're just average speed,
Right.
you can't make them a champion. We see this, what we talked about before with the 200 freestyle. You can take a kid that has a good 50 free and you can literally say, well, you know what? If I make you a 200 freer, we got to train you up. It's going to hurt a little bit, but
You might sacrifice a little speed.
you can be competitive with that. So we have like a little bit of a break here, but they should be coming up pretty soon here. I'm blanking on the name of the coach right here on the screen, but
Can't see her face. We are
I will find it
seeing
because
some of that. Is that
that's a
Falston
Falston coach, and I
Okay.
know who that is, but I don't have her name. But she's an example of something that I want to talk to you about. She used to do my volleyball program, and she was good at that too. But might be Melchione, but I'm not sure. But what's also neat about coaching is the giving back.
Right.
So you have people. So I'm going to go through some of the coaches here. So for Edgewood, we have Tiffany Silvestri in her 17th year.
Well, I say I swam with her. We graduated the same year.
Okay.
Yeah.
She's been coaching total for 20
Long time.
years. She's assisted by Thea Pappas and Lee Ingram. As I mentioned, Patrick Klein for Hartford, for Elkton, Craig Marr for Elkton. For Havre de Grace, we have Charlie Callahan, who's been coaching a long time. Christine Backey, I know her and her kids. Stephanie Wagenfelder. For Aberdeen, we have Laura Snyder, Emmy Somos, and Brenna Angen. We mentioned Chris Bly and his staff. North Hartford, Hillary Canal, and I talked to Hillary yesterday. She has no assistant coaches.
Wow.
She is coaching
That's a
all
lot
by
to take
herself.
on.
That's hard to do.
Because you think about just the on the deck plus all the admin work that goes on
definitely.
in the meet entries. That's a lot of work.
So Patterson Mill, we have Lauren McCoon in her second year, Kelly Lipscomb in her first year. Doretta Davies is assistant. We all know
And I've
Doretta.
coached with Doretta. Doretta has been around probably
25 years she's been
25
coaching.
years, yeah.
So for Falston, you have Sarah Reesner. I do not have her assistants. Hartford Tech, Joe Peters, Amy Mergerian, Dane Flack and Jessica Numbers. For Bel Air, we have Galen Ziegler, 4th year, been a summer swim coach for a while now for aquaculture. Matt Plasininski, and then for assistant coaches, we have Nicole Muzzy, our 7th year, and Luke Kalochininski. Seamount Wright, my son, Travis Ruse, is in his 1st year, and Tyler Kozar is in his 2nd year. Charlie Masanti is assistant coach, and Sherry Ruse is assistant coach. So you got a lot of people here that you're going to see some of these people's names pop up in summer swim.
Right.
And club swim.
Right.
It's like the swim community.
Yes, and I love
exists.
that, Travis is now coaching because, I think, Travis was 8 when I was coaching summer. And then I had, of course, I had the pleasure of coaching your daughter who's a little bit older. But it's great to see these kids coming back, too. They had a great experience swimming high school, and Travis is a phys ed teacher, 1st year, and then also coaching. That's a great give back to the community.
I got him to coach summer swim with me last year for the 1st year, so he enjoyed that, and he's hooked.
Sucked him in. You sucked him in.
So here we are for the 100 butterfly. In our first heat, we have Morgan Wood, lane 1, Seamount Wright, Vivian Ellenbecker, lane 2, Edgewood, lane 3, Sierra Stamper, Seamount Wright, lane 4, Maddie Smith, Falston, lane 5, Addie Rabasti, Falston, and lane 6, Shivani Panita from Edgewood. So turns are very crucial here in walls, Kathy, because this is a very tough stroke.
It is.
And you really need to have good walls.
100%. This was definitely my best event, probably because I was so strong underwater. Everyone thinks fly is such a upper body stroke, and it can be, but it's really about that rhythm. You really want to see those hips coming out of the water. Really get into that rhythm. Once you get out of that, it's kind of hard to get back into it, and then you're swimming vertically. So, again, when we talked about even thinking about breaststroke, we're always saying you want to make sure you're moving forward in the water, not up and down. And you'll see that, it really starts to get painful right here at that 75. Everybody swims a little bit differently. Are you using more of that upper body, or are you really kicking a lot? I know there's some kids you can hear, especially in the boys, you'll probably hear a little bit, you can actually hear the kick really reverberate through.
Oh, definitely.
So, yeah, here comes, it looks like the Falston swimmers
looks like
coming
Maddie
in first.
Smith coming in here in first, holding her seat. It's a real battle here. Looks like Sierra Stamper from Seamount Wright might pull in for 2nd place in that heat. And see, that's one of those examples
Look
where...
how tired she is after that 100 fly.
And that's what you want.
Yes, you want to give it everything you got in the pool.
One of the cool things we say as coaches is things like, you can catch your breath later.
Yeah, exactly.
You can recover for the next 5 minutes.
Well, when they say, it's the only sport where your coach tells you not to breathe, it's so true.
Which we're not supposed to do as much as we used to.
No, that's
in practice, we're not supposed to do nose breath slaps and stuff like that.
Correct. Nothing more than a 25 hypoxic anymore.
We have to basically say, try to breathe
breath
as little
control.
as you can.
Yes, breath control. Exactly.
Well, this is an example of what I'm talking about, Kathy. So, Maddie Smith and Sierra Stamper there, their seed times are very close to 4 of the next girls in the next heat.
Right.
So if they swam a good time, they can move up as much as 4 spots.
Right.
And that's big for their teams on points. So I'm going to preview the next heat now. We're going to have Georgia Watson for Falston in lane 1. We're going to have Peyton Ivy for North Hartford in lane 2. We're going to have Erica Honadol, Aberdeen, lane 3. We're going to have Sophie Bonacontri for North Hartford in lane 4. And you're going to have Bella Sargent in lane 5 from Bel Air and Kendall Chandler from North Hartford. So what you have here is you have lane 1, 2, and 5, 6 of this next heat who have almost identical seed times, and they're going to be racing each other on the other side of the pool.
Right.
The 2 girls in the middle technically look like they should pull away from the pack. And if they do, they'll be competing with the 5, 6 seeds of the fastest heat.
Exactly.
So this
you look at lane 1 and lane 6, we had 1:24.17 entry and 1:24.38 entry time.
Yes.
So really, really close.
Yes.
And they're getting ready to get up on the block. A little bit of a delay there.
Makes the coach nervous when your kid's the last one to step up on the blocks.
100%.
Where are they?
Yeah, because if you miss it, that's it. You're
Right.
not getting another chance. Unless something catastrophic happened that wasn't the athlete's fault. That's really the only way you're getting another chance to get in there. So.
And that was you saw it there. That was a great streamline off the dive for Erica Honadol from Aberdeen.
Yeah, really good turn.
I mean, she held her streamline, and every other swimmer in the race had already done 2 strokes.
Yep.
And she was ahead.
And you can see what we were talking about too is you want to make sure you're going forward. So you want to get those hips up nice and high. And again, the officials at the other end are looking 2-hand touch.
Mm-hmm.
Make sure that they're, coming in legally. And you'll see in fly, some people like to breathe every stroke. I know Michael Phelps used to breathe every stroke. So I know I used to fight that battle coaching-wise. I'm like, you're not Michael Phelps.
Right.
So we're going to work on the breathing every other stroke. That's really more ideal because the more you pick your head up, the more you're going to go vertical. So you really want to try to stay with your head down as much as possible. And again, you'll see lane 3 here, Erica, she's got her head down, breathing every other stroke, which is a really great classic butterfly. Coming in here, this is so painful, these last few strokes into the wall, no matter what.
Oh, definitely.
You're really giving it everything you got. And again, you're going to see how much these swimmers have put into it. Once they finish, it's like, whew.
This is when you have rubber arms right now.
Yep.
In track and field, you have rubber legs, and in swimming, you have these rubber arms. Sometimes legs, but in the butterfly, definitely your arms are what are screaming at you right now. Very important that these swimmers stretch.
Yes.
And cool down when they have a cool down, because the lactic acid buildup is going to be
Quick.
pretty bad.
And we have our final heat. Looks like they're getting ready to come out. The swimmers are in the hallway waiting for the heat before them, and then they're coming out so you can see them.
So we have
getting up on
Alexis.
the block right away. Here we
We
go.
have Daniela Drin in lane 1, Bel Air. Maddie Hoyer, false in lane 2. Bella Hanna in lane 3, Seamount Right. Megan Wynn, lane 4, Hartford Tech. Molly Cooper, 5, Patterson Mill. Cassidy Howells, Haverty Grace, lane 6.
You have 2 freshmen in 1 and 2.
So you're going to have different styles here. Bella Hanna has this classic streamline where she can go off and streamline forever. If anything, her coaches erred on telling her to come up sooner than she can, because she's one of those kind of kids that could streamline the whole 25 if she needed to.
Right, and she's looking like her breathing pattern. She had, head down for 2. Now she's back to the every other. Again, if you're going to be streamlining for a long time off of the wall, you want to make sure you get at least a little bit of air when you're above that. And then we talked about earlier, you have to come up before that red marker. Not as frequent you're going to see that tonight.
So she likes to take it out
Megan
fast,
Nguyen.
but here comes Megan Nguyen.
And I think this, she's been swimming for a long time. I know she's pretty capable of going under what her seed time was pretty significantly, it looks like. Really good last wall.
So she definitely planned it this way. She knew that Bella is a fast 50-er. When they do when you saw the medley relay, you saw that Bella had an outstanding leg of that relay. And
great swim for both.
Yeah, so Megan Nguyen coming in for the win there, and Bella Hanna finishing second.
And right into the 100 freestyle, it looks like. It's
Yes.
going to be our next event.
So,
Our longest standing record, it looks like there.
yeah, Katie Novotny was something special.
96.
Yeah, that young lady was, had many records for a while there.
Her kids are now swimming. I saw her at a swim meet. This is what happens, I guess, when you get older. You still meet up at the pool. It's just in the stands now,
Yep.
which is a great thing.
So what we have here in Heat 1 for the 100 free, we have Michaela Phillips from Joppatown in lane 2, Michaela King from Aberdeen in lane 3, and Dayanara Hernandez from Joppatown in lane 4. So what you're going to have
here.
here.
Swimmers. Are they combining heats, maybe? Heat
So
1
they
and 2?
must have put some others in here. I think we had a
They said they were
change
doing
sheet
that in
on
the
that.
500.
They told us the 500, but we
Yeah.
did not get that for this. We apologize. So I'm going to call out other names here from Heat 2 to see if they're in this heat here. So we should have, if we have 2 Joppatown swimmers, we may also have Precious Eichenhofer swimming in this heat, Elena Miller from Edgewood. We might have Kaylee Coffey from Joppatown and Ashley Woods. So if one of those 7 was not going to swim, they would have combined that to one heat.
Right.
I see a lot of, I see a couple purple caps at least
Yeah, it
here.
looks like they may have combined it. That's what I'm thinking.
So we definitely have Ashley Woods here from Edgewood.
You'll see some swimmers, they might be doing an open turn. It really depends on your comfort level. Again, I know we talked about, doing that flip turn. But, some swimmers are more comfortable doing that open turn, get a little bit more air. And
So
then working up to that.
I'm seeing 4 Joppatown purple, 3 Joppatown purple caps. So we must be missing 1 Joppatown swimmer. But I don't want to speak too soon till I see the other side of the pool.
We'll know when we see maybe
The
heat 3.
results, yes. So
100 free is definitely a sprint event. A little bit longer than that 50, so you might not see as much splash and dash, but definitely considered one of the sprints in swimming.
So it looks like Elena Miller is taking this
Good
out.
finish.
And she was the first seed of the second heat, so that makes sense. But we have a Joppatown swimmer coming in lane 1 in 3rd place. That's impressive. I mean, she's swimming ahead of her seed time probably.
Yeah, great swim. So the swimmers are going to stay in the pool until everybody finishes. So definitely love the sportsmanship that you're seeing this evening. Want to make sure they're there to shake everybody's hand.
Yeah, 99.5% of them remember to do that.
Yes.
And when the one kid,
99.5.
when the one gets out, the coaches are like, "Stay in the water."
Say, get back in the pool.
I saw one boy do that last night, and I saw the coach look at him right away, like, "Dude, stay in the water."
Right. And it takes a minute sometimes to get out. These are some pretty. This is an older pool, so those gutters are really big. I remember climbing out of those a few times or two myself.
Well, the hardest part for us as summer coaches is teaching our 6 and unders to stay in the water.
Correct.
They're like, what? I'm gonna climb out and go over and hug Grandpa. What are you bothering me for?
Nope. You gotta wait till everybody finishes.
So our 3rd heat here, we're gonna jump to that. We are pretty sure that that's what's going on now. We should have
it looks like we have a Hartford Tech. Yep.
Kyla Pazankis from Hartford Tech in 1, Alexia Delinos, Bel Air in 2, Audrey Miller, Elkton in 3, Addison Whitaker, Hartford Tech 4, Riley Grody from Havre Grace in 5, and Tyara Amadco from Aberdeen in 6. I apologize now, parents. I was not given any advice from any coaches on pronunciations of names.
Right.
And we're
do the best that we can with
yes.
how we can pronounce. I know I had a very tough maiden name, so I can appreciate that. I never expected anybody to get it right.
Well, people.
So you can just call me Kathy.
People mess up hers more than you think.
Yes.
So there's a good flip turn there.
Yeah, and you're going to see again that they're doing that fly kick off of the wall.
Right.
And I know we talked earlier about, try not to breathe off of that first stroke, because that first stroke really makes a big difference in the race. And you'll see the officials are not standing at the blocks anymore. During freestyle, there's no requirement for 2-hand touches or anything, so they're actually standing on the sides, just making sure that the swimmers actually touch. If there is a question, those touch pads are down there. So making sure everybody is doing all of their laps from start to finish. And you got a little bit of a race going on here between 2 and 3. Good flip turns. It looks like 2 actually flipped a little bit more, but sometimes you'll see that underwater. Going to be a race to the finish on this.
We have
it's
a good race from the outside lane here.
Yeah, who wants it more? It looks like lane 2 is actually pulling ahead. Is that
Abigail, or we're in heat 3 here.
Heat 3,
Alexia,
yeah.
Pulled out that race.
Bel Air's had some really good swims tonight. Especially in the freestyle. Looks like, we saw some of their 50 freestylers winning some of those heats, and now heat 3 goes to Bel Air. Great finish. Just get your head down and get into the wall.
Oh, yes, definitely. Caitlin Lorenzo will be swimming in lane 1 for C. Milton Wright. Abigail Eichler for Aberdeen in lane 2. Erin McGovern from North Hartford in 3. Logan Seeley, North Hartford 4. Ellie Moose, Falston.
Eileen, I think it is,
yeah. From Falston in lane 5. And Grace Jergs from Hartford Tech. So
lots of freshmen in this heat.
yes.
We have freshmen in what, 3, 4,
Four.
and 5.
Yep.
It's a pretty good event if you're, new to the sport, for high school, or if it's maybe your second sport for some of these athletes. Because again, it's more of a sprint, but not quite the 50 where you really don't have any room for error. Lane 2 really long underwater, came up just before that red mark. And looks like going out, we have lane 5, 4, and then 2 is not too far behind. But again, she probably can't see them, so she's out there swimming her own race.
Yes.
And what's going to happen here with 4 and 5?
So pretty tight. And again, you're going to have your different styles. One does a good flip turn and extends there, but we have lane 5 here. Eiley most possibly stealing this race. It's always interesting to see outside lanes sneak up on the higher seeds.
Right, and we talked about earlier too, when did they swim that time?
Right.
Was this a time from early December, maybe November, and they've been working all season to try to get a little bit faster, maybe working on that flip turn makes a big difference. So really nice swim coming in here. She's really going for it. Good finish. I know we always say.
Yeah, Caitlin Lorenzo coming out here in
lane 5.
Lane 1 might have gotten second place. So we got a 5 and a 1, possibly 1, 2 there. That's impressive. So here we go with heat 5 of the girls 100 freestyle. Will be Rowan Michael from Edgewood in lane 1, Grace Hinton from Haverty Grace in lane 2, Paige Sullivan from Rising Sun in lane 3. We have Victoria Costellar in lane 4 for Bel Air, Samantha Clausen from Elkton in lane 5, and Mackie Baki in lane 6 from Haverty Grace. Mackie's mom is coaching with Haverty Grace. Starts mean so much. It's not just that you're out another body length or half body length ahead, but it's your momentum going into the first wall, so you have a good fast turn.
Yeah, and always, trying to get that good reaction time off of the block. You don't want to be too fast because that could result in a DQ, but...
We also have another lane 1 going out here pretty strong. Right up there with the lead with lane 3. It's like Rowan Michael.
3 came off the wall really good. It looks like lane 1 actually moved the touchpad a little bit. It kind of popped up, which sometimes can happen depending on how you actually hit the wall on that turn.
Which means they'll probably be fixing that after this heat.
Right. Hopefully it knocked itself back into place after that.
So how much does it work on your nerves when you're a swimmer and you get yourself psychologically ready and something like that goes wrong and you have to stand there for 4 minutes?
Right. It just gives you more time to think, or
it depends on the person.
It really does.
I know some kids that are nervous wrecks.
Sometimes it can be a good thing, sometimes it can be a bad thing. Great swim there. And again, love the sportsmanship. Shaking hands with everybody. Okay, we're on heat 6.
Oh, so they're not stopping it.
Nope.
So
everything must have been okay.
I think we have Severia Abbey from Rising Sun in lane 1. Alex Ryan, Haverty Grace in lane 2. Jenna Reed, North Hartford, lane 3. And I think that's Hannah Harley, Patterson Mill in 4. Allison Ridley, Aberdeen 5. And Kira Kanzler, Bel Air in lane 6. So this is where you're going to start seeing the girls that are going to score points for their team.
Yeah, and again, it's going to start getting tighter and tighter with the times. Those entry times, you're going to see the heats are going to be a little bit more closer together. And again, those little things really matter. How are you going into the wall? Are you breathing off the wall? Are you getting your head down and getting that hand in? Who wants it the most? Looks like lane 3 is really going out. And again, it's a sprint, so, some people do like to go out really fast.
That's Jenna Reed. She did really well in her other event that we called.
And she's a senior. So last time out, a little bit extra motivation.
Oh, definitely.
You want to make sure you go out with a bang. Looks like she's doing a great job here. Lots of good white water from everybody. You see that nice fly kick off of the wall. And she could, and again, you can move, anybody can move up. I mean, there's really not, it looks like it's, you know, between the next heat and the outside lanes, it's about a second, maybe a little bit less for those seed times. So you really want to get in here and try to move up if you can.
Very
really
strong.
Nice finish.
And her seed time is right on the 5th and 6th seed of this next heat. So the 11th and 12th seed. So depending on what they do, she can move up into the top 10 possibly.
Right, so here comes heat 7 coming out of there from the waiting area.
Yeah, we have Caitlin Welker for Patterson Mill in lane 1, Sadie Greer from Falston in lane 2, Anna O'Leary from North Hartford in lane 3, Sadie Cooper from Elkton in lane 4, Sophie Lapano in 5 for Patterson Mill, and Cambry Constance from Bel Air in lane 6.
And you can see those different starting styles. Some people are pulling back a little bit further. Some people are more up on the block.
Mm-hmm.
You notice probably more of a difference with that as we get into these later heats too. And again, it's a pretty tight race here. It looks like between 3 and 4.
Yeah,
but 5
Anna
is
Leary.
hanging tough. Sophie Lapano,
Yes.
I know we saw her in the IM. She's definitely hanging in there. And here comes lane 2 as well. We got 2 more laps to go, so 4 laps in this 100 free. Some people 250s or 425s, depends how you like to count it.
Anna O'Leary took that out very fast in the first 25, but be interesting to see. I think her turns are a little bit quicker and cleaner also. So
Yeah,
as
she's
we said,
really
that
getting
means
in and out of
everything.
the wall, yeah. If you can say in and out, it might be too slow. That's what I always used to say.
Well, it looks like Sadie Cooper is possibly holding on to second here with, let me see here.
Like lane 3 and then 4 and then 2. Yeah.
2, yes. Got to be some good times there. So here we come for the fast heat, and we have the same 3-way battle that we had in the 50 free, Kathy. So lane 1, we have Lily Altman. Lane 2, we have Ellie Hansen. Lane 3, we have Emerson Young. And lane 4, we have Gabriella Rosso. Lane 5, Lucy Plastead. And then lane 6, Ella Seifert. So basically, I see it's close between person to person, but I would think Ellie Hansen's going to do a time drop here.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, she dropped in the 50, so you would think that would convert over.
Look at that start from these sprinters. Beautiful. So obviously, Emerson is the top seed here, but Ellie Hansen and Gabriella Rosso are both great. So we're watching that start. Yes, that's textbook. You watch that replay. I mean, that's what you want.
Yep. Really good reaction time. You can see Emerson's stroke is a little bit more straight arm freestyle than some of the other swimmers that you see in the field, especially when you're doing sprint freestyle. That's now the preference from a lot of the higher level swimmers. That straight arm, trying to get that shoulder driven stroke a little bit more than underwater pull.
So I'm looking at this battle for second place.
Yeah, really tight.
And it's really close, and it's really going to come down to the reach here.
Looks like lane 4.
Might be 4, then 3, then 2.
So 4 was Gabriella.
Yes.
It looks like she did get in there just a little bit before Ellie.
So
Great race.
Gabrielle had a really good last turn, and that might have been the difference between second and third.
Yeah,
so
let's
really
check out
hard
that finish.
to tell here.
And again, it might be one of those where it looks like lane 2 took that extra stroke,
Yes.
and Gabriella extended into the wall and touched underneath.
Mm-hmm.
So we'll see when we get the results, but from up here, my eagle eye says 4. What do you think,
I
right?
think probably, and the only difference is we saw it with Michael Phelps. The overhand stroke is sometimes finish is faster than the underhand touch.
Right, it really depends.
But I do agree with you. So we have our first heat of the 500 free girls here, and in lane 2 we have Brooklyn Nager And from Hartford Tech, lane 3, we have Eleanor Starbuck from Edgewood. In lane 4, we have Kieran Parker from Joppatown. So I'm hoping that sometime during this race that we might be able to see some of our boys from last night, and we can give you a little bit of name dropping on some of these boys. We had asked them to come into the pool here if they could and stand by the podium. So this is when we'll see if teenage boys will
Listen to what you said to do. Did you tell them that they might be able to get on TV?
Yes, I did.
Okay, all right. So that might give them some extra motivation. While we're waiting for that, you can see at the end of the lane you have your counters. Distance swimmers, anything above a 500, they will allow for those counters. So when you swim, you got to find your counter. A little bit more stressful too. Who's counting for me? And you'll see that they're going to show those odd lanes. So when they go down, they'll know that I'm on number 3, 5, 7. And then when they get to that last lap, heading into lap number 20, you'll see that it's an orange or red,
Right.
I guess you would say. I think it looks more orange. And they'll be showing that to indicate that that's the last lap of the 500. So you don't necessarily have to count. So hopefully your counter gets it right and doesn't mess you up. But you'll see sometimes, too, those counters, depending on the pace that the swimmers are trying to set, sometimes they'll swing them back and forth or they'll shake it down, trying to keep everybody on pace, because when you're doing 20 laps, you want to make sure that you're where you're supposed to be with whatever your strategy is, and are you on pace or not. So
we were told that we were going to combine heats of the 500.
it doesn't look like that
it
happened.
looks like it was the 100
100.
that happened.
Right.
So, you know, while we're waiting for these boys to possibly show up on screen, I will recap a little bit of the boys' meet as we're doing that. So last night, Patterson Mill boys won the 200 medley relay and the 200 free relay with not necessarily this order, but Cade Snyder, Adam Lingelbach, Mason Windle, and Joseph Sauer. And for Sea Mountain Wright, we had them winning the 400 free relay. And in that relay is Ryan Pham, Alan Chan, Addison Sweat, and Nick Masanti. So outstanding group of swimmers. Last night, a lot of great races on the boys' meet for us. In the 100, I'll go through the order of events here, but I will say that Cade Snyder did break a county record in the 100 butterfly.
It's exciting.
And you know what? Cade's just scratching the surface. You know, he's probably very admired by his teammates, but at the same time, he and his friends in front of the teams. But I think it quietly ticks them off that he's swimming the 50 fly and 50 back as fast as the fastest are swimming the 100 free.
Right, right.
He's one of those once-in-a-lifetime talents that, as a sophomore, he's only just beginning. He's going to get stronger. So my quick recap for last night was in the medley relay, Cade Snyder, Mason Windle, and Joseph Sauer and Adam Lingelbach got first place in the medley relay. Second place was Hartford Tech with Gavin Carson, Tanner Carson, Marco Brazius, and Shane Ekman. Third place was Falston with Theo Kidwell, Caleb Conkle, Christian Lazuski, and Zach Olzik. Next was the 200 freestyle. What a battle. Third place was Bo Kammerzeltz from Elkton. But first place and second place, Michael O'Leary from North Hartford just edged out Colin O'Hare from Bel Air, 151.39 to 151.86.
Wow.
What a battle. Michael basically took out the race aggressively, but then Colin kind of chased him down, and Michael was just able to hold him off. In the 200 IM last night, senior from Sea Mountain Wright, Addison Sweat, won in a 2:11.26, and was the best time. He said he attributed it to his fly being the best, even though he's a breaststroker. Usually you have to concentrate on one of your other strokes, as we know, because you know your best stroke is going to come through. So Josh Morgan from Bel Air was second with 2:19.04. Marco Brazes was third with a 2:22.18. In the 50 free, Adam Lingelbach, first year swimming as a senior, could have swam before, but he was doing basketball, and he's a great athlete in other sports. He got first place with a 23:07,
Wow.
followed by Shane Ekman from Harvard Tech with a 23:37, followed by Nick Masanti from Seamount Wright with a 23:6. Adam, typical comment, start and turn.
Right.
You know,
right.
when I asked him what was the most important to him, and going back to the 200 free, I didn't get a chance to talk to Michael O'Leary, but if I get a chance tonight, if I see him, I will find out what he felt about his race. But I do say he took the aggressive tack that we talked about. In the 100 butterfly, as I said, Cade Snyder was first, and he broke Jack Leary, former Paris and Mill swimmer's record. Jack's record was 51:47. Cade swam a 50:13.
Wow.
Almost a second and a half drop off of the record.
That's amazing.
Second and third place, two Seamount Wright swimmers. Alan Chan, second placed, dropped over a second. And Ryan Pham almost dropped 2 seconds from his entry time to get third. Great swims
and
for
I know,
them.
I think Cade's been even faster in club, and I think he made junior nationals this year in that, which is the elite of swimming, you know, just right before you're going to make seniors or Olympic trials, junior nationals. So he is definitely a fantastic swimmer for Harford County. Lucky to have him swimming high school.
Well, I asked him what his goal was for states, and he said to break 50 in both of his events. In the 100 free on last night, Nick Masanti, another great swim, coming in third place with a 51:82. He dropped 2 full seconds. Gavin Carson just edged out Adam Lingelbach with a 50:38 compared to Adam doing a 59:2. I asked Gavin what worked for him, what he felt he attributed his race to, and he said, first of all, my lane assignment allowed me to see my top competition on both sides of me. And then he kind of laughed and he said, when I got to the end of the 75 and I realized I had a chance, he said, I didn't breathe the last lap.
Wow, that's awesome.
So that's kind of hard to do. In the 500 free last night, Colin O'Hare got first place with a 5:11.
Great swim.
And yes, we had a good finish there from our Edgewood swimmer, I think that was.
Yeah, and I know her, it looks like that was Eleanor Starbuck.
Yes.
And her coach Tiffany on the side. I know Tiffany was a distance swimmer growing up, so I think that was one of her more favorite events too. So really good swim for Eleanor. We can't see the times, but I have a feeling that was a time drop, and we have our swimmer from Harford Tech and Joppatown still finishing up here.
Tough
It's
event.
A long race. You know, again, 20 laps.
Karen Gonzalez on the other side there cheering on people. One thing I love about Karen Gonzalez, it doesn't have to be her swimmer.
No, she'll cheer for
and
everybody.
She's cheering for everybody.
Yeah,
and
she's great.
when my children were younger, swimming high school, they would be like, who's that nice lady that comes up and gives you a hug every time she sees you, Dad? And I'm like, that's Karen. And there she's like, she says nice things to me every meet, and she cheers for me, and she says, if for some reason my own coaches aren't waving me on, she is.
Right. Yes.
So as we finish up this 500 free, I will recap last night's 500 free. Great race between Colin O'Hare winning it and Luke Bahala getting second. Christian Luzuski came through with third place. One of the things you like to see about swimming, I asked Colin about his race, and what a nice young man. He attributed his coaches, his parents, his teammates, his competitors, and when he finished his race, him and Luke gave each other a great hug because they're good friends, and that's what you want to see. So after we start this next 500, I will recap the last part of last night's meet. As I will tell you, it was very exciting.
Well, we got a couple more laps, I guess. Wasn't sure where we were. I needed the counter.
I thought the counter said she was done, but sometimes we are not sure here.
Yeah, and we're not in the pool, so we're getting different views too, so make sure we keep us straight here. I did realize, I was looking at the program, it looks like actually this might be the oldest record, 1991.
Harris.
Yes.
Yes. Is it Liz?
Yes.
Yes. Her mother is a super nice lady that I see every once in a while, and she says to me, does Liz still have the record?
Liz still has the record, Mom. Yeah, that 5:08:13 is the record from 1991.
So I'm glad you brought that up. I'm going to review a little bit of the records here since we have an opportunity. But let me kick off this next heat first and tell you who the 5
do we
girls
have
are.
coming up next in heat
So
two?
in our next heat 2, we should have Jillian Pecor, Belair in lane 1, Sophia Lillis, Patterson Mill lane 2, Vivian Ellenbecker, Edgewood lane 3, Addie Rabasti, Falston lane 4, and Ava Seeley, North Hartford lane 5. So the record, as we said, is Liz Harris. I'm going to go back to the first events. See, Milton Wright still holds the medley relay with, I got to see the names here. It looks like Erica Abshire, Lauren Amara, Megan Cowan, and Julia Amara. In the 200 freestyle, Megan Cowan from C. Milton Wright still holds the record. 200 AM, another old record, Patty Rawlick from, I think it's Patty Rawlick,
Yeah,
yes.
she was C. Milton
C.
Wright.
Milton Wright, 200 AM, 50 free. Emerson Young, still swimming, has the record. In the fly, butterfly, Katarina Lomas, somewhat recent record.
Mill, yeah, 99, or 2019.
Great swimmer. We said Katie Novotny with the 100 free. And then, like we said here, in the 500 free, I think it's Liz Harris. Long record. Some people almost got there. 200 free relay, C. Milton Wright. It looks like it's
Julia
O'Mara, Lauren Rutherford, Megan Cowan, and Lauren O'Mara. What a talented group. 100 backstroke, recent swimmer, Elizabeth Pennington from Elkton. What a great swimmer. She had that start you wouldn't believe. In the breaststroke, Lauren O'Mara. And here's the ironic thing. Probably the second fastest ever was probably Julia O'Mara.
Yes.
You know?
Yes.
And in the 400 free relay, another C. Milton Wright record, Lauren O'Mara, Erica Slotnick, Lauren Rutherford, and Megan Cowan. So that is a recap. We have a good tight race here in the 500 free. And we'll get back to analyzing this race in a second, but I wanted to continue in the boys 200 free relay last year. Mason Wendell, Joseph Sauer, Adam Lingelbach, and Kate Snyder got first place, but they were pushed by Hartford Tech. Marco Brazius and Gavin Carson, Rory Jenkins, and Shane Ekman were only 0.9 behind. Beller Bobcats with Grayson Michael, Josh Morgan, Colin O'Hare, and Logan Weaver were third. So in the boys backstroke last night, Kate Snyder was first place, 58.4, missed the record by 0.74 that Mason Young holds, but I would not put it past Kate to break that record before he's a senior. Gavin Carson had a great race, and he got second place. Ellen Chan dropped a full second to get up to third place, so that was a great swim. So right now they're going to try to put the boys champions on deck. So we're going to be able to see them in a second.
We can pan over to the podium.
So the camera can pan over. And while we're doing that, Michael O'Leary from North Hartford won the breaststroke last night, followed by Grayson Michael and Addison Sweat. And then in the 400 free relay, it was C. Milton Wright with first place with Ryan Pham, Alan Chan, Addison Sweat, Nick Masanti. And there you are with some of the boys right there over there by the podium. So you can see kind of blocked. In the blue shirt, you have Colin O'Hare, and he was our 500 champion for the boys. And behind the crowd there, you have Alan Chan against the wall. You have Addison Sweat. Looks like he has a hat on. Looks like Luke Pahala is over there, who was our second to 500. And Ryan Pham, trying to see if we see a few more people there. We got some coaches mixed in there with Tyler Kozar, hoping some of the other boys show up there.
Looks like lane 5 is really going out strong here. Call that outside smoke.
So
that outside lane taking off a little bit.
Oh, yes.
Really normally difficult to do that, and especially with an empty lane next to her. That's Ava Seeley, it looks like, from North Hartford. She's really doing a great job. Nice tempo. And we talked a little earlier, the 500, you're not going to see that 6-beat kick normally. She is a pretty strong kick, though, still going. And you're going to see a little bit slower tempo, a little bit longer strokes, and probably breathing a little bit more than what you would see in the 50 or the 100. And she's really doing a nice job up there. Looks like a nice steady pace that she's been able to get out to. And the rest of the field is trying to chase her down right now.
So we'll piggyback on what we said before. Some of the boys listened.
And
A
some
little
of
bit.
them didn't.
Some of them didn't.
And some of them will be on TV and some of them won't.
And a little bit later than they were supposed to. So we'll try to pan to the podium if we see more boys show up over there. But, you know, we wanted to get the boys a little bit of screen time, so thank you to our cameramen for doing that.
Yeah, and lane 5 still hanging in there, out in front.
So one more thing with the recap that I wanted to add to show you how close meets are. So Bel Air got second in the 400 free relay with Colin O'Hare, Garrett White, Logan Weaver, and Grayson Michael. But Harvard Tech needed to get third, and they got third.
Wow.
They had to get third, and they beat North Hartford for third place by 3 seconds. And that was Devin Coster, Hunter Sin, Rory Jenkins, and AJ James. So when we get down here near the end of the pool here, when this young lady swims down the other end, maybe we can get one more pan up to the podium area. If not, we'll get it to the start of the next race. Always great to see a lot of boys come back and cheer the girls on.
Right, and then normally they rotate nights, right?
Yes.
One night's the girls, one night's the boys.
Yes. And as a coach, you're kind of torn because when I coached, I would tell my swimmers, feel free not to go spend the entire night. So whoever was swimming the last night and they were going to come the night before to cheer. So right now the coaches don't care that the boys are here cheering. They're not expending energy that they're worried about. They have a week and a half until regionals.
Right.
And they'll be tapering a lot soon. And so, but before, for the last night's boys' night, you kind of didn't want your girls there for 5 hours.
Right, especially standing up and
Yes.
using all that energy. Yeah, that's the tough part about it.
So each team gets 4 deck passes. So the girls will take turns coming out on the boys' night and vice versa.
There you go. There's the last lap. You'll see that counter coming out. It's orange or red, whatever
Yep.
color you want it to be. And that means go, because that's it. This is the last 25. It's lap number 20 coming on in.
Definitely stealing that race from an outside lane.
Gotta think that that was a pretty big time drop for her. Maybe she swam that again early in the season. You have to have a time. So at some point, trying to get all the swimmers in to make sure they have a time in every event.
It looks like Vivian Ellenbecker from Edgewood came in pretty early too.
Yeah, great races.
Sophia Lillis from Patterson Mill was in that race. She was one of my assistant coaches. Yep, here we come for the finish here. Another swimmer.
Okay, once she's done, we can take a look at what that.
Oh, this
finish
is
looks like. Oh,
close.
yeah, really close finish. I think that was lane 2.
That was for second
yeah.
and third,
Yeah.
or third and fourth. So that was nice. Yeah, Sophia is one of my assistant coaches at Maryland Golf, and she's an example. She's a team captain for Patterson Mill, and she's one of those examples of some people don't want to swim the 500. I will.
Right,
And-
whatever you need me to do, Coach. Put
Yep.
me in.
And she does a good job at it.
Really nice finish, especially after all those laps.
So here for our third heat, we have Eleanor Montago for Bel Air in lane 1, Genevieve Seats, or Sites, I'm not sure which one, Georgia Watson for Falston in lane 3, Val Angelou for North Hartford, Cecilia Gonzalez, Aberdeen, and then Libby Fisher for C. Milton Wright. So you see here all the way from 6:36 to 7:05. So it'll be interesting to see what people do. So already I see Libby Fisher up there in lane 6 going out fairly strong, not with the leaders, but trying to stay closer. Coaches often talk to swimmers about use the swimmer next to you to pull you to their time. You might be 20 seconds slower than them in the 500 seed, but why not swim with them as long as you can? Since you're somewhat new to this event, you don't know what you can do yet.
Right. You might not. You might still be learning how to race it.
Yes.
And especially in these longer events, trying to figure out how fast can you go out? What do you want your pace to be? Do you like to go out fast, or do you like to maybe just hang with your competition and then try to pull away? Katie Ledecky, probably the most decorated swimmer at this point, especially in female swimming. She sometimes will negative split, which basically means you're going out at a pretty good pace, but then your second half of your race is actually going to be faster, which is really hard to do when you think about it, because you don't have a start on the second half of your race.
Definitely.
And that normally is about 2 seconds difference. So really, trying to figure out what that strategy is going to be. You want to use that person next to you, but you also don't want to let them swim a race that you're not going to be able to hang with. So you got to figure out what's going to work for you. But yeah, use them, let them pull you along. Also, you'll see sometimes in distance swimming, and I don't know if we'll see it tonight, but if a swimmer is swimming close to the lane, you tell your swimmer to get up close to them, especially if you are maybe a couple of seconds seated slower.
Yes.
Get next to them and let them drag you along, because you can actually, get some of their wake, and you can really actually benefit from that. So you'll see most of the swimmers tonight look like they're swimming pretty much in the middle of the lane, which is what you want to be doing. But should you happen to have somebody that creeps over on the lane, because in practice you swim in circles.
Yes.
So you're not used to swimming. You don't get a full lane by yourself when you're swimming at practice. So swimming right down the middle is pretty important, so that you don't have somebody dragging off of you, trying to benefit from your wake.
So do circle swim in
wave.
practice. Don't circle swim in meets.
Exactly.
So I'm looking at some of the boys' results last night. And yes, there was a lot of few-second drops here and there, but I'm looking at two swimmers who moved up a lot. Like Jackson Peralt dropped 20 seconds.
Wow.
Trevor Downs moved up many spots because he dropped 26 seconds from a 6:38 to a 6:12. So that's what you see often in this 500 free. Like right now I'm seeing, it looks like lane 3 is in second place right now, and that's Georgia Watson. But all the way up in lane 6, Libby Fisher, who is the 6th seed in this race, is in third place.
Right.
So a lot of this race is psychological. You see him right there coming into the wall. So very interesting when you get to see the time drops.
Yes. And we talked about it earlier, the bilateral breathing, lane 4. She's breathing to both sides, which is great, keeps your stroke nice and balanced. You see that a little bit more in the distance events. Also helps you, too, to see where your competition is, because if you're only breathing to one side, you're only seeing that side of the lane. Definitely helpful when you're swimming 20 laps. Make sure you know kind of where you are in relation to the competition. Definitely looks like this is going to be a big time drop. The seed time, she was only 2 seconds behind lane 3, so she's really set the pace here. Not 6-beat kick, but still a pretty good kick behind her. Good tempo. Nice flip turns. Here comes lane 3. Maybe see if she can try to pull ahead. Lane 6 still hanging tough out there. She did go out pretty quick.
So when we're watching the rest of this race, I will review the girls 100 free. Emerson got a best time. All the top girls got best times. So Gabriela Rosso came in second, and she dropped a full second to get to 56.39. Ellie Hansen dropped a full second to get to 56.46, very close there. And then, that's what you expected to happen there. I see here that Ella Seifert came in with a 102.24, and she was supposed to be seated 6th, but she moved up to 5th with a 2-second drop to 1:21, which from a coaching standpoint, a parent standpoint, you say, way to go. But then every time you get near that next number, you think to yourself,
59.
I said, why couldn't that be 59.99?
Never satisfied.
No.
That's the one thing about sports, and especially swimming. You never get satisfied with what you're doing.
Right.
You dropped 2 seconds. Now, all right, what's the next goal? What's the
Yes.
next goal?
But you know what? That's when you as a coaching staff get to say, well, now you're there.
Right.
Now
right.
you're there. Now you're ready to break a minute. So
breaking that barrier.
in recapping the 100 butterfly, Megan Wynn pulled out the win. She was second seed, but we fully knew from her club experience that she's going under 106.11. So she's from a 104.53. That's outstanding. And Bella Hanna, first year high school swimmer as a senior. What a revelation for the team. I mean, getting second place. And then we have Molly Cooper. Looks like Molly moved up a spot to gain third place with the best time of 111.34.
Fantastic.
So a lot of close swims. And what I have right now at the end of the 100 freestyle, so I have
Nice
Falston
finish.
in first place with a 172. C. Milton Wright in second with 156. Hartford Tech third with a 135. Patterson Mill third with 132. And the Bella Bobcats fifth with a 114.
Yeah, and we got the one more heat of the 500, and then the relays coming up.
So that
Be
was
interesting to
that
see how that goes.
Val Ugalo who got first place
That
there.
was from North Hartford.
So looks like she upset Georgia Watson, but I think Georgia probably came in second. But I'm thinking Georgia probably swam her time, if not better, and Val just had an incredible race, which just happens.
Right.
So as we have these 5 finishing in here, we are going to the fastest heat, last heat of the 500 free. Lane 1 will be Megan Lentz from Bel Air. Lane 2 will be Gianna Cintron from Aberdeen. Lane 3 will be Kate Taylor, the favorite, from Falston. Lane 4 will be Sienna Pahala from C. Milton Wright. Lane 5 will be Caroline Pennington from Elkton. And lane 6 will be Noelle Brown from C. Milton Wright. So what I'm going to see here is Kate is the favorite, but if she swims her time, the next 3 girls can challenge her.
Mm-hmm.
But I think Kate is capable of swimming faster than a 5:56. So let's see.
Yeah, she looks like she's taking it out. She was what? I guess about 6 seconds ahead
Yes.
of the next seed. So she definitely is trying to get out ahead of the pack. You want to start pretty strong because you don't want to get yourself into kind of that lull pace. You want to make sure that you're kind of being out and getting out aggressive. But again, there's some swimmers who don't like to do that because they'd rather swim that back half and actually be chasing somebody down versus you getting out into the lead and being the one that everybody's chasing.
Mhm.
But seems like she's really trying to go for it tonight, getting out there. Some really good turn.
Well, this is a psychological race. And even though she has good speed also, she doesn't want to leave this to the last 50 or 100.
Right.
So you see Sienna Pahala from C. Milton Wright trying to stay intact there. And what Sienna's trying to do is she's trying to use Kate to pull her away from lanes 2 and 5.
Right.
And that's part of the psychological part of this event.
Yeah, and she's already, keeping her kick into it. Still making sure she's breathing enough to keep that oxygen up. It's not a sprint, so you want to make sure you can make it for all of these laps.
Well, you see the counters down there at the end, and coaches tell them to give different signals. If they're on their pace, then you shake the card one way, and if they're not, you might shake it a little bit more aggressively to try to say you're behind pace.
Right, you see him shaking it up and down a little bit down there. Maybe there's a certain time she's trying to go for. You'll see the coaches on the side who should normally have their stopwatches out, so you're timing the 50. So, depending on what splits you want to see, you might want to be seeing a 35, 32, depending what they're looking at. Per 50 is what the coaches are looking at to be able to send those signals down to the counters to make sure their swimmer is where they need to be. Kind of one of the cool things about distance swimming,
definitely.
if there is anything cool about distance swimming. It's an amazing feat, I think, but it definitely takes a special person. The amount of training that they have to do if you do swim distance, is probably at least double what you would do as a sprinter, maybe even
yes.
triple. I remember in college the distance people giving us the evil eye every time we would get out early because they still had about an hour of practice and we were going to lift weights. So very different in terms of what you're trying to do there in the pool.
I also
she's
noticed,
really taking it out.
Yes, and I also notice how the counters can bend over a lot further than I can, Kathy. I mean, you know.
So, one of the things I saw at a meet recently is they had it on a pole, and I was like, wow, that's genius.
Right.
Because I always felt like as a coach, you'll see they're actually at least putting their knees on a kickboard.
Yes.
Because if you have to go swim right after that and you've
it's
been
not
kneeling for
comfortable.
10 minutes, yeah, it's not exactly ideal. Plus those little tiles, you get nice marks in your knees. So the counter has an important job, and I know some of the swimmers are very superstitious. So if they have a good time with one counter, guess what? You're up the next time too. But yeah, she's really pulling away from the field. Kate's having a great swim. Sienna's hanging in there.
Sienna's doing what she's supposed to do. It'll be interesting to see if 3 or 4 can come up because they are within reach. But it's this now we're getting to that. We're in that fourth quarter of the race.
Right.
And we talked about how important psychologically that is to, I can't get first. Can I hold second?
Right.
I've got to dig here and do another good 75 to swim away from my competition. So right now, Sienna's doing a good job with that, and Kate are doing a good job with that.
Yeah, and you still have lane 2 down there. It's Gianna from Aberdeen, senior. She's trying to hang tough there. Good flip turn.
So that's like some of the smaller teams, and they have good swimmers. I mean, Elkton girls have really shown last night. Their boys shown really well. Aberdeen has some really good swimmers, and I mean every school is represented. That's what's nice about this.
Right. That's where you kind of start from. You have those couple of swimmers, and then you really try to grow your program. Trying to win county championships or upback championships consistently, or states, you got to have the depth. It really is a team sport when it gets to these meets.
Kate is really, she's swimming a faster pace and turnover nearing the end of her 500 than the last time I did 2 laps at the Arena Club.
Oh, good.
But I am 59, Kathy. So
yes, that's impressive that you were still in the pool. Now you see the official there with the bell. So that last 50, the bell lap. So she's got just 2 more to go, and hopefully she'll be the champion.
Yes, she will. And it looks like we're going to somewhat come down to seed order on this, but there might be a difference between 3rd and 4th. We'll see that in a second.
And you see lane 2 really coming on. She's really putting her kick into it. Lane 2, Sienna out there, she's still swimming pretty strong too. She's got 1 more to go. This is her finish right here for Kate. Head down into the wall. I'm sure that was a great time for her. Can't wait to see those results. Falston swimming well tonight. Really all the girls are. I know we talked about how awesome it is. Looks like Sienna came in second
we
there.
had Sienna coming in there, yes. It looks like
there's lane 2.
Aberdeen, Gianna Citron, followed by Carolyn Pennington.
From Elkton.
And then the 5th seed, Megan Lentz coming in 5th, and then Noelle Brown coming in 6th. These are the hardest events, not just difficulty-wise, but since the time gaps are further than a 50 free, 100 free, 100 fly, it is tougher to swim your time. So it'd be interesting to see if the winner of the last heat, Val Gallo, will move up or not.
Right.
And that always happens. So we're finished the second session of swims, and they will be getting ready to go into the awards, followed by the last 4 events. Pretty exciting, Kathy. I mean, looking at the standings here, we do not have the overall standings, but Falston looks like they have a 16-point lead on Seamount Wright for 2nd place, and they just had a good 500 free. So that's going to be tight.
Right.
Seamount Wright did have 2 girls in that height, and they got 2nd and 6th, possibly. So that's good. Hartford Tech is in 3rd, and Patterson Mill is in 4th, and Bel Air in 5th. So by my calculations, the overall is going to be interesting, but I would think C. Milton Wright is possibly in first place in the overall, but we will find that out at the end.
Yeah, definitely going to see some movement there because I noticed in the program it looks like Harvard Tech didn't have anybody in the last two heats. So that's
Right.
going to be interesting to see, especially with them being so close to Patterson Mill. But Patterson Mill, I think, had one swimmer, it looks like. And then, you, of course, again, you had C. Milton and Falston. Be interesting to see what happened with that second to last heat with that swimmer from North Hartford, Val, moving up probably. So we'll wait to see those results. You can see them in the pool. They're either cooling down or warming up. You got the relays coming up, so you'll probably see some of the relay teams getting in there, making sure that they're ready to go.
And one thing about county championships that's interesting in swimming, it's going in cycles. So there was a stretch at the beginning where Edgewood High School won the first 4 championships. And for the people that didn't know, and they think one region can't be good as another, well, back when they had the Edgewood Aquanauts
Right.
and the Hartford Y,
Yep.
Joplin and Edgewood were 2 of the best programs in the county.
Correct. Yes.
And then when those programs moved out and more of the club swimming seemed to be Bel Air area central, you had more stronger teams coming from there. But as you know from experience, Falston had a run of championships, Bel Air had a run of championships, C. Milton Wright had a run of championships, John Carroll had a run of championships.
And the interesting thing, I think, if remembering back, even Falston and John Carroll had a lot of Edgewood Aquanaut swimmers when that was a club team back in the day. Mr. Lee, the famous coach from the Edgewood area that ran that program for a really long time, had some really great coaches at the Y during the early 90s that really brought, great swimming to Hartford County. It's always been, I think, one of the primo areas for swimming. When you think about, you had Olympians come from Hartford County. Over the years, and it's so many kids are swimming in the summer too. It's great.
It's always been a goal of mine.
1,600 kids, I think, swim.
Oh yeah, it's always been a goal of mine. I wish somebody would start a club team again in Southern Hartford County.
Right.
It would really be a useful thing, but we need more pools. And with us using the 3 middle schools predominantly for practices for high school, it's really hard to put a club team also in there.
Right.
But, again, C. Milton Wright's had a run now. It's been pretty remarkable. If they win the overall championship this year, it will be their 14th in a row. And what a run that is. And regardless of whether you're a C. Milton Wright fan or not, you got to be impressed by that. Because I know a lot of other sports, and even though there are some other sports where, boys soccer, it's generally, C. Milton Wright, Bel Air, Patterson Mill, Falston, usually fighting it out for the top 4. It's moved around.
Right.
And one year it's one, another year it's another, 2 years it's one. Same thing with girls soccer. There's some real good rivalries amongst the top 4 or 5 teams. And you have that in a lot of sports. But a possible 14-year run is...
It's kind of incredible.
It's incredible. And you know what? Here's what's neat about it. In the first maybe 12, 14 years or more, they did not count the boys and girls separate. I'm so glad they've done that.
Right.
Because last year, Patterson Mill won the boys, Falston won the girls, and C. Milton Wright won the overall.
Right.
So you had 3 champions declared, and that's nice.
No, that's awesome.
Now this year, Hartford Tech has won the boys. It may come down to the wire here. We'll see if C. Milton Wright can gain, but it's Falston's meat to lose right now, or win, however way you want to look at it.
Right, and Kate dropped a lot of time, it looks like, on that race. Saw the results coming across.
Well, I told you I thought she was capable of more.
Right.
But here's the thing. You can't be upset if you're the next girls, because
they all
Kate
dropped time.
swam 8 seconds faster than her previous time. And she did that psychological warfare we talked about. She went out from the first 50. The lead she had at the end of the 100 was the lead she had at the end of the 200.
Right.
And then she put on another spurt mid-race. Now, Sienna Pajola, that's one of those milestones. She broke 6 minutes.
Right. Awesome.
She's got to be happy about that. Another senior captain. And then Gianna Cintron, she dropped 2 seconds, second and a half, 2 seconds. So you know,
Great swims by everybody.
I'm going to look through here for the down the road here. A lot of time drops. Val Angelo dropped 14 seconds.
Yeah.
And
She
Noelle
moved up pretty
Brown,
significantly there.
yeah, Noelle Brown, she dropped a spot, but she dropped
Almost 8 seconds.
8
too,
seconds. So she can't be upset at herself. It was just that Val swam a heck of a second fastest heat.
Yeah. And she was in the other heat.
Yes.
Yep.
Now, looking for other time drops. Wow, look at Libby Fisher, freshman for Sea Mountain Wright, 7:05 to 6:45.
Right.
It was
that's
her
huge.
goal to break 7. Well,
And
she just went way
crushed
under.
it.
Yes.
Yep.
So you gotta love that. Now, coming up for this 200 free relay, I want to preview this, and I'll be able to save the. I'll be able to tell who the Sea Mountain Wright swimmers are as we get going, but I'm going to try to tell you who, based on who's swimming, I'll have an idea of who's likely going to be contending.
And you look at it, and it's Falston, Hartford Tech, and Sea Mountain Wright. 149.99, 149.35, 149.61 entry times coming in. It's going to be a heck of a relay.
Yes. So based on what I know Sea Mountain Wright split their last 2 relays. So they're just hoping for top 3 to 5 and do the best they can. But looking at these relays, Hartford Tech is definitely going for this relay. They have Alexander Hall first, followed by Lacey Pierce, Megan Wynn, and Emerson Young.
Right.
So that is 4
Strategy
girls.
for Hartford Tech is they want to win this one.
Yes.
Yes.
So, you know, Sea Mountain Wright, Hartford Tech, and Falston all wanted to win the medley. It went down to touch. So you
Right.
can't fault the coaches for that. When you've got a kick butt medley, you've got to enter it. And all those teams, including Bel Air and Patterson Mill and others, they all had great swimmers in the strokes.
Right?
So you go for it. Then what coaches tend to decide is out of the 200 and 400 free relay,
Which one?
which one we going for, or are we splitting them
Right.
to make sure we're top 3 or 4. So right now, it looks like probably Hartford Tech's race to win, and I would expect them to win. But for Falston, I know we have Maddie Hoyer, Maddie Smith, Sadie Greer, and Lily Pasquinelli. So that'll be interesting. And you've got, I don't know if they're in it. Here we are with these awards. Let me
And there's
let me
Molly
see
Cooper.
this.
And Bella.
Yeah, there's Bella Hanna for second place.
And then there's Megan, the win.
Good swim for those girls. Should be proud of themselves.
Nice medals. Everybody's getting their pictures down there.
This is when parents that are timers sneak down there.
Yes. So that's the benefit of timing. I know they were
Yes.
still calling for timers at the start of the meet.
Yes.
So one benefit is you can actually get down there and take a picture if your
That's right.
child's on the podium.
And then there's always the one that embarrasses their kid and makes them stay for extra pictures.
Right.
And the
right.
kids are
there's
like,
nothing wrong with
Mom.
that. After all the driving and everything that parents do, you better let them have their picture.
That's right. Come on, Mom, stop. So Ellie Hansen called for third place for the 100 freestyle. Gabriella Rosso. And then Emerson Young. Ellie's one of those swimmers who actually, for her team tonight, she's sacrificing by doing these events,
Right.
50 free and 100 free. Ellie could have been contender for the 200 free. She could have been a contender for the 500 free.
But her team needed her.
Team needed her to do the sprint freestyles. So that's what she was, and she did, you know Ellie, she didn't blink an eye. She didn't even question it. Plus, one thing, this is a club coach, Kathy, and your daughter's swimming club. Some of these kids are also gearing up for their club states too.
Right.
So they're literally wanting to get faster in their events.
Right.
So when I ask some of the swimmers around the county, what do you want to do for regionals and states? And some of them surprised me. I'm not sharing the information with other coaches, but they were like, they're not just wanting to get faster for their club time. but they have to figure out how to swim club states and high school
yeah,
states.
it's so difficult.
And they know when the finals are for each race.
Mhm.
So for the 500 free now, we just had. That's right. So we have Gianna Cintron, who was just called out. We have Sienna Pahala, and we have Kate Taylor.
Right. There's Kate getting her medal from the 500 free for Falston.
So as I was saying, you have a dilemma.
Right.
The last couple years, the club states have put their states on the same weekend as high school states.
Yes.
And high school
Makes
states
it more difficult for the kids to have to
Yes.
choose what they want to do. I know senior states is going to be the weekend, I think it's of the 22nd.
Okay.
So that's when those kids are going to have to make a decision. And some of them swam prelims.
Right.
And even though they finaled, because in the states
Yes.
for club championships, you swim a morning prelim, and then you come back at night if you qualify for finals. So they were swimming the morning prelim and then going to their high school state meet to make sure they could still represent their high school, and we're just scratching out of those finals and then going back down the next morning.
Yes.
Most of the state meets for club championships in Maryland are at St. Mary's, so it's not exactly close to Harford County by any stretch of the imagination. Done those drives a couple times myself. So it's such a sacrifice that these kids are making to try to represent their school
And
in their
parents.
sport. And yes, the parents, all the driving, all the miles you put on your car.
So some of these kids are actually going to be going from morning races for club, then they're going to be running to the states for
In
high
College
school,
Park,
then they're going to be running back for finals for club states.
potentially.
What a day.
Right, right.
I mean, they could be swimming 8 to 10 races in one day.
Right, and all over the place with what you're doing.
Yes. So,
And then they always have the angst of the tear between the club coach not wanting them to do that more than
yes,
likely.
yes. Well, and vice versa.
Yeah.
So, like, I know some high school coaches that are like, well, are you making the finals? Or are you making the B finals or the C finals?
Right.
And, but what a lot of these kids do is they look at that. Where am I with club finals?
Right.
So if I'm not going to make the finals that I want, both sides of the coin. If they know that they're not likely to make the finals, they still want to go swim it in the prelims at states, get a best time, and then they can still make their states. Some kids, if they know they're going to make the final of the club states, that's the tough decision.
Right. Right.
Because that will conflict,
Right.
and you don't want that. So we're getting ready to start here, the last part of the meet. Timers should be filtering back down there already. And we see coaches sitting patiently on the sideline, officials sitting patiently on the sideline. If there is a delay here, it's usually a computer or touchpad type of thing.
Or trying to get the timers back from taking pictures
yes.
at the podium.
Yes, or
Yeah,
getting something to eat.
Getting everybody back together. It's a long night.
Well, the timers probably haven't eaten since lunch, and they're probably ran up to the concession stand really quick. We just saw a couple of friends we know walk by us and wave. And so what I'm seeing here is the vents coming up. 200 freestyle relay coming up. In the first heat, we will have Joppatown in lane 1, Elkton in lane 2, Havity Grace in lane 3, Patterson Mill in lane 4, and Edgewood in lane 5. So, looking ahead, all 4 teams that are in contention for the girls and the teams' overall standings all have a lot of good swimmers left. So it's very similar to last night's boys. As I said, we went into the 400 free relay knowing that if Bel Air wins the 400 free relay, they beat C. Milton Wright. If C. Milton Wright wins the 400 free relay, they beat Bel Air. Hartford Tech knew they just had to finish 4th
right?
to get a tie and 3rd to win, and they pulled it out.
Yeah.
Yes, and not easy because Hartford Tech was being chased down by Michael O'Leary from North Hartford, who's an outstanding swimmer.
Right.
So, Kathy, I'm going to sound like the old man going to school 2 miles uphill in snow. But back in the old days when there was like 5 dominant teams and all 10 teams had strong swimmers, dual meets, tri meets, went down to the 400 free relay when you swam.
That was it. Right. You had to win that last relay if you were going to win it.
Yes. And it was
And that's
so
why
exciting.
in practice you almost always have the kids swim a fast 100 at the end when they're dead tired, because that's normally what it comes down to.
Well, again, I talked to the winning Sea Mountain Right 400 free relay, and 2 of the 4 boys swam personal best ever.
Right.
And
all that energy in the building too.
Yeah, somebody, a younger swimmer was standing
swimmer.
by, and he goes, "How'd you do that?" And the kid said, "Adrenaline."
Right, 100%. Well, that's that energy that's here tonight, because everybody wants that, championship, or
Yes.
they want to beat that other person, represent their school the best that they can. And all that energy in the building definitely helps you swim a lot faster. You don't get that at every meet. Some of the meets you go to are a little bit more laid back, not as much cheering, not as much energy, and it does make a big difference.
Looks like Patterson Mills in the lead here slightly, but
Yeah.
Haverty Grace closing it down. This is one of those races where the winner of this heat could possibly beat the 5th and 6th place time of the next heat.
Right, and this is 2 laps freestyle, so a 50 freestyle for each swimmer, so there's 4 swimmers in the relay. Always interesting strategy on this too, and different than the medley, and even in the 400 free. Do you put your fastest swimmer first, or do you put them last? Used to be when I was growing up, the anchor was always the fastest.
Right.
And there's been a trend where you actually put your faster swimmer first, and then your second fastest swimmer on the end. But sometimes coaches don't always feel comfortable with that.
So it's
really depends.
it's usually a psychological warfare. If you feel like your first swimmer going out fast, especially in something like the 400 free relay, will get you such a lead over the 3rd and 4th seeded team that their middle swimmers might get psychologically out of it, that's when you may do that.
Patterson
Mill finishing first. I'll give you an example. In my high school indoor track team, I was the 3rd fastest runner in a 4x200 relay, and guess what? My coach put our state championship runner first because it got us a lead. And the rest of us did what's called running scared.
Right.
Sometimes,
don't lose it.
sometimes swimmers swim scared. So you get them a lead, and they will swim scared.
And just go. Yep.
Yes. Well, my son was on the championship relay, medley relay, his senior year, and we had a boy on our team named Kyle Rutherford. You remember the Rutherfords?
Yes,
And Kyle was like Cade and Mason Young with the backstroke, where his streamline was faster than everybody else's stroke. So Kyle got us the lead, and the other 3 boys all swam personal best. And they all said the same thing. We were afraid to lose the lead.
Right. Don't let it go. This definitely takes so much more strategy than the medley, because you really got to figure out where do you want to put everybody, and then to your point, what do you want to do? Do you want to try the 200 free, or do you want to work towards the end, and where do you need to place, and what do those points look like?
You also have, from year to year when you're a coach, one year you may have a team where you're like, God, we're full of sprint freestylers. And that's like Hartford Tech. Hartford Tech boys are a very strong sprint freestyle team. So is the Hartford Tech girls. Now, the Hartford Tech girls that are good sprint freestylers are also good at other strokes too. You also have teams that are more like, we have a bunch of middle distance and distance swimmers that are really good. Then you have teams that they have a good person in every stroke, so that's why their medley's good. So right now we have Bel Air in lane 1, Falston in lane 2, Hartford Tech in 3. We have Sea Mountain Right in 4, Aberdeen in 5, and North Hartford in 6.
This is going to be a tight race.
So I think it will probably be Hartford Tech if I had to put money on it, but we'll see. And then it'll be interesting 2 through 5.
We're coming into the first wall.
So it
You
looks
see
like
some of the swimmers have some tape. You do have to have a medical note that has to be turned into the officials to make sure that that is, legitimate. Some of the swimmers have different, PT issues sometimes. All that swimming takes a toll on your body.
nice dive for Hook Tech.
Yeah, good.
So it
Good
looks
relay
like
starts. You want to be fast, but not too fast.
looks like Tech and Sea Mountain right here.
Yeah,
It'll
Tech looks like they're pulling away a little bit.
Yes.
Sea Milton staying ahead of Falston. Oh, here comes Sea Milton. Number 2 swimmer. Having a really great race.
Might be Hannah.
And your job coming into the wall is make sure you don't glide in, don't mess up the person that's diving in. So really great start by Tech's third. That looks like, is that Emerson? Or
I'm
is
not
that
sure.
Megan?
I think it's probably Megan.
That looks like Megan, and Emerson's on the end here for Hartford Tech.
So Hartford Tech looks like they're going to probably pull away here pretty comfortably with their anchor starting now. And then that was a very smart, safe start.
Yeah, you don't want to give the officials anything to question, especially when you have that big of a lead. You want those 40 points for your team. That definitely looks like Emerson, who was the champion in the 50 freestyle, and also the 100.
Good job with Sue Milton Wright. Looks like they're going to probably hold on to second place.
Looks like, yeah, second's going to go to Sue Milton, and then third to Falston coming in here. Can't see quite. Looks like a challenge there from North Hartford, though, with lane 2, but it does look like Falston is going to hold on. Nice finishes. Great swim. We just have a couple more events left before the last relay, which is incredible.
So it looks
Great
like
swimming.
Emerson will probably be our star of the meet with 4 victories because she was in the medley relay that was first place. She's already won the 50 and 100 free and now anchored her team to the 200 free record. Not surprising. It's really a shame that the Young family is so not talented at swimming, you know. I mean, all they have is champion after champion.
Champion, yes. It's definitely a dominance in the Young family with
started with Hillary and all
championships.
her success, and then followed by Tucker and Mason, and now Emerson. I think
is the
Rich and
last of
Melissa
the
Young are
Youngs.
not going to know what to do. They're
No, just wait. I'm sure there's already grandkids, so I know they'll. I'm sure they're already in the pool.
Yes.
No pressure, but got a lot to live up to.
Well, Rich is
Under
one
back.
of our backbone people here for the meets for years with the tech stuff that he does for the meet, the audio and sound.
Yeah, he does a great job.
So we have here the first heat of the 100 backstroke. We have Precious Eichenjofer for Joppatown in lane 2, Riley Fortier for Edgewood in lane 3, Sarah Gonzalez for Hartford Tech in lane 4.
Yeah, so really want to make sure you get a good tempo going out that first 25. And you'll see with the backstroke turns, if you didn't notice it in the IM, once you take that first stroke, your next stroke has to propel you into the wall to make it legal. You'll see the officials standing down there if they want to do a backstroke turn. Again, we had one swimmer that did and one swimmer that didn't. Really personal preference on what they're comfortable with, especially at this level. You don't want to try something new tonight. Make sure you've been doing it in practice and you feel comfortable with it. Maybe you've raced it a couple of times.
So try to explain, Kathy. Novice fans think you're just doing a full windmill in the water, but what is your technique underwater supposed to be with your backstroke?
So you really, what we tell the younger kids is you want to actually do almost a dunk. So you're trying to make sure that you're doing pinky in first so that you can really grab that water up top. And then you're actually propelling yourself backwards. You need to bend your elbow and really get a good push past your thigh. So you can kind of see this a little bit. It's always easier when we have an underwater view. I know we're not that savvy yet. But yeah, these swimmers are doing a great job. But yeah, it's not just moving your arms as fast as you possibly can. There's a real, art to it, and making sure that you're pulling and you're pushing yourself backwards.
And explain the legal turn. There's 2 options. One's not preferable, touching on your back, turning, and then pushing off on your back. But you're really, if you can explain what's perfect.
Right, so if you want to do the open turn, which our swimmer who's in the lead now felt most comfortable with, it looks like, you need to make sure you stay on your back.
Right.
You can't turn over onto your stomach if you're going to then touch the wall with your hand. So if you want to do a turn, a flip turn, like we saw our swimmer in lane 4 do, you make sure there's why the flags are there. The swimmers need to know how to count their strokes. So I know we talked about that earlier. You might take 3 strokes, and then your next stroke actually needs to make sure that you are doing your flip turn and that you're hitting your feet on the wall. If you get too far from the wall and you have to kick, you're going to get disqualified. If your hands stop because you're too far from the wall, you're going to get disqualified. If the swimmer in lane 3 who did that open turn, if she had turned over on her stomach and then touched with her hand, that also wouldn't have been a legal turn. So a lot of nuances with that backstroke turn. And again, one of the other things too is that the officials are looking to make sure that they come up before that red marker there at the 15-yard mark. So this is heat 2.
Yep, so I have Cheyenne Rogers from Aberdeen in lane 1. I have Kyla Piazankas from Hartford Tech in lane 2. Eleanor Starbeck from Edgewood in lane 3. I have Mary Ellen Van Horn from Jocktown in lane 4. Kate Robertson from Jocktown in lane 5. As we start getting to the faster heats, we'll have really good examples of how much this turn means.
Right.
You know, again, I'm in awe. I respect all athletes so much, and I am in awe at some of the walls that people can get off of their backstroke turn.
Yeah, no, it's absolutely incredible. And how far the underwater, it's really a 5th stroke.
Mm-hmm.
So when you train it, you're really looking at, you know, trying to make sure that the swimmers have every opportunity to train that dolphin kick underwater, whether it be on their back or on their stomach, because
Right.
so much, especially in, you know, high school swimming, college swimming is all in yard pools. Almost, what, a third of your race is going to be underwater. So
Mm-hmm.
you'll see some of these swimmers here coming in as they come in. So they're counting their strokes. So as soon as they see those flags, you'll see the swimmer in lane 3 flipped over. Great turn. You know, now she's back down the other end of the pool. So it is tricky and it is difficult for the kids. You have everything from I'm scared I'm going to hit my head on the wall,
Yes.
or I'm going to be too close, or I'm going to be too far. So it really takes a lot of practice to get that perfected.
So as we finish this heat, I see here we just got handed the results of the 200 free relay. Some really interesting things about the relay. Emerson Young's relay split was 24.83, right on her times. You know, some great swims for the teams. Now, we talked about this happening. Patterson Mill was in the second fastest heat, and they moved all the way up to third place.
Right?
So what a great job there for their team. So I think that's what was correct. Let me check my. Yes, they were in the first heat.
Yeah, they were.
So and so
Got an update on scores too.
yes, it's really close. So right now at the end of the 200 freestyle, Falston is up 14 points on C. Milton Wright for the first place battle. So let me announce this.
Heat 3.
Heat 3, we have Maggie Lehman from North Hartford in lane 1, Amelia DePaulo in lane 2 from Falston, Grace Hinton from Haverty Grace in lane 3, Isabella Staunton from Hartford Tech in lane 4, Kendall Walter from North Hartford in lane 5, Logan Seeley from North Hartford in lane 6.
Yeah, and the other thing with backstroke for, you know, if you're newer to the sport, obviously they're starting in the water. Some of the things on the backstroke start, you can't have your toes out of the water. You got to make sure they're in the water, so the officials are looking for that. You really want to make sure you're pulling up as much as you possibly can, so that you can get that real good streamline off of the wall. So coming in, and again, it's 4 laps of this backstroke. Really nice flip turns. It is definitely, again, something that has to be practiced on a pretty regular basis to get that timing down quite right and to make sure that you know the exact strokes.
So it's going to be quite a battle here in the end. It'll be interesting to see.
Yeah, how tight these scores are. Every point is going to matter. You know, when the coach tells you that when you're training in December, you know, every single thing you do, every point is going to matter. Sometimes it's hard for the swimmers to really think about that, but tonight is the night when it really all comes down to it. Those extra little finishes that you might have been practicing. And that's one of the things I wanted to point out here too, is so when they're finishing backstroke, you know, some of the swimmers will extend and actually be underwater, but you got to be careful because you can't go back under the water all the way. As long as you have a toe out, that's fine if you want to extend backwards, but you just got to be careful because that can be another tricky spot for the officials, where if you go all the way underwater, it's a disqualification. But all the ladies did a great job there.
So in Heat 4, we have Allison Ridley from Aberdeen in lane 1. We have Caroline Taylor from Falston in lane 2. Maggie Olson, Patterson Mill in lane 3. Alexia Dalianos from Bel Air in lane 4. Sierra Stamper from C. Milton Wright in lane 5. And Cambry Gonzalez from Bel Air in lane 6. So you'll see here that you definitely have people in the middle lane here's times right on lane 5 and 6 times for the next heat. So this is where you will see people moving up and moving down in the scoring.
And it looks like they might be missing a swimmer here in lane
Yes.
2, so they want to, try to give the athlete every opportunity to get up there to the blocks. Maybe something happened on the way to the pool, but it looks like they're going to go ahead and get this heat going.
Right.
They'd have to wait until the starter, who is the gentleman down there holding the microphone and the buzzer, tells them it's okay to get in the pool. So again, looks like we are missing one swimmer, but
Looks like Caroline
ready to go.
Taylor missed her event.
And that's a Falston swimmer.
Mm-hmm.
So rest of the heat going off of looks like lane 5 underwater. Came up though before that marker. Did a really nice job. Lane 3 taking it out. Again, got to watch those backstroke turns. Really hard for the officials, especially, there's not as many officials as you would normally have, so it's hard for them to see all of the lanes, but they do such a great job. Shout out to them again for being here so that these swimmers can compete.
Oh, definitely. So you have to hope that Caroline was not in the in their coming up relay, or if she's not ill. But we have to. They don't give us updates all the time up here when we're on air on people that have scratched the meet.
Right, so you'd have to declare a false start
Mm-hmm.
for her to be able to continue in the meet. So if she has any other events, the coach would then have to go up to the starter and say declared false start. Otherwise, if you don't show up for your event, you aren't able to swim anything else, which is an interesting rule in swimming. So for finals, really, really tight finish there. I could not tell because those flags seemed to be in the way who actually got that, but that was a great race. Really good finishes by both the swimmer from Patterson Mill and Bel Air. Yeah, replay would be great.
Let's see.
Let's
She's going to do
see.
one more stroke. She could have glided and touched, and
Yeah,
I
it
think
looks
she's
like
still
it
out
was
touched
3.
her.
Yeah. It's amazing technology on that replay. Yeah.
Great job, camera crew. Okay, here we go with heat 5 of the girls' backstroke. In lane 1, we will have Hannah Harley from Patterson Mill. In lane 2, we will have Emily Ewers from Haverty Grace. In lane 3, we have Emily Everett from Patterson Mill. Lane 4, we have Mav Alliger from Bel Air. Lane 5, we have Emma Huss from Elkton. And lane 6, we have Maddie Birch from Falston.
All right, so looks like lane 4 might be out just a little bit ahead. Watch those turns, getting in and out of the wall. Bel Air swimmer. Again, you want to see backstroke. You're really looking for that nice tempo, head nice and still. Much easier to swim indoors. You normally have something on the ceiling that you can look at. I was not a great backstroker, but watched a lot of backstroke. So yeah, you always want to have that head nice and still, good rotation. We talked about earlier, you got to make sure you get that good pull underwater. Some of the best backstrokers in the world, you'll see their opposite shoulders pop up when their other hand's going back because they're getting such a big pull under the water. And then you got that good fly kick off of the streamline. So streamlines are so important. Streamline all the time off every wall. Something that they learned real early on. Summer league swimming. Got to streamline, got to streamline. And looking like lane number 4 is coming in first here. Good finish. And you saw lane 3 go under, but she still had a portion of her body up above the water. So good finish, leaning backwards, try to reach everything out of that last stroke.
So I want to let those of you that are listening to this on the live cast know that this will be telecast this coming Monday evening at 7:30, and it's whatever your cable channel is for Hartford TV. So if you have Armstrong, it's channel 7. If you have Comcast, it's channel 21. It's also HD 1084. If you have Verizon, it's channel 31. So look for that this coming Monday.
Here comes heat number 6.
So in
the
heat
water.
number 6, we have Hannah Ikamoto from Patterson Mill, Erica Honodell from Aberdeen, lane 2, Sarah Clausen from Elkton in lane 3, Jordan Bell from North Hartford in lane 4, Jamie Magdalos from Edgewood in lane 5, and Geneva Sykes from Harry Grace in lane 6.
Yeah. Looks
Should
like
be a good
lane 2
race.
got a really good start. You
That's
know,
Erica Honodell.
nice
Aberdeen
start,
swimmers are
good.
swimming well tonight, and there's a few of them swimming really well.
And you'll start to see where those underwaters really come into play. Lane 3 looks like she got a little bit ahead off of that wall.
Mm-hmm.
So, again, how long do you want to stay under? Is that a strength for you, or are you better to get up and start swimming right away? Really good turn there. Nice underwaters, nice and still.
Lane 5 is having a good race, Jamie Magdalos.
Yes, and it looks like lane 2 still a little bit ahead off of that 50 coming into the 75 here. Got one more lap to go for this 100 backstroke. Really close race between 2 and 3. Gonna come down to the finish, it looks like.
I'm always impressed with the backstrokers that know how to do the lunge at the end, how they can throw their body
to
back.
time that, yeah. It looks like it actually, lane 2, pulling away. It may actually be between 5 and lane 3 here for second.
That was a good stealing of the race by Erica Honodell there. I'm sure she got a best time there. So now we come down to the big heat of the backstroke. We got the replay here. Nice finish, Erica. Nice lunge. I just talked about it, and she did it for us.
Yes.
Thank
you, Erica. Yeah, she heard us up here.
I love it when they make us look like prophets here. So in heat 7 here, the final and fastest heat, we have Lacey Pierce, Hartford Tech in lane 1. We have Emily Fatkin, Bel Air lane 2. We have Bella Hanna, Simone Wright lane 3. We have Kate Taylor, Falston lane 4. We have Ella Seifert, Simone Wright lane 5. And Matea Mara from Elkton lane 6. So you have races within races here. So this is Bella Hanna's race to win.
There she
Let's
goes.
see if she has her normal backstroke. Look at this streamline, the power.
Really great underwater.
So she's going to come up.
Yep.
Now she came up earlier than she had to, and that was out of fear for getting too close to the line, and but she gets good walls off of even her turns.
Right.
So
and really quick in and out. That's one of the things we talked about, that practice you have to have for that backstroke turn. It's hard to time that perfectly. So you get that stroke right there perfect, and then you're in and out. So nice turn. Again, good underwater. She's really taking it out on the field. It looks like it's going to be a race for second between 2 and 5. Maybe 2 and 4 at this point.
Yeah, 4 is up there in second place, but Ella Seifert's not far off of her.
Right, she's a racer.
Yes.
Seen her swim since she was little. She's about the same age as my daughter, so I've seen her swim a lot, and she will go for it.
So it looks like Bella Hanna's going to pull out the win here.
Let's
it looks like
finish, hopefully a good time for her.
Kate Taylor looks like she's going to hold on to second.
Kate Taylor's having a great night for Falston.
It was close 5-6 between Lacey Pierce and Ella Seifert. Very close, but I think Lacey might have pulled it out, but we'll see.
And that's going to be a real interesting update when we get our next scores, because C. Milton had 2 swimmers in that heat, and Falston had 1.
Right.
So with as close as these scoring positions are right now, it's going to be really interesting to see where we are after that update. Great races by everybody. Though
I do know that it looks like Falston will be loaded up for the 400 free relay, so they will probably have a chance to win that. But still, sounds like it's going to be a close meet here. So we have the girls' first heat of the 100 breaststroke. In lane 1, we have Victoria Castellan from Bel Air. Lane 2, Leah Gregoria from Havre Grace. Lane 3, Zoe Ammonen from Hartford Tech. Lane 4, Brooke Lewis from Joppatown. Lane 5, Kelly Spickler from Joppatown. And lane 6, Alana Miller from Edgewood. So we have 5 heats of this breaststroke. Again, for me, the stroke that I do not know how people do it fast, but they do.
Yeah, always seem to have breaststrokers coaching.
Right.
I have no idea how that happened. But, I was fortunate enough to coach both of the O'Maras. I had Emily Jordan, who was a county champion at one point, and definitely interesting. And it's a stroke, again, like I know we talked about earlier when we were looking at the IM, that everybody has a little bit different version of this. So, do you want to keep your arms out in front and really make it more leg driven? Even at the elite level now, that
Right.
kick looks a little bit more like a fly kick sometimes. So when you teach little kids how to do that, you make it look more like a frog kick. But, the older they get, the tighter that kick gets, and trying to really stay forward. Again, that's the main thing here, is you want to make sure that with every stroke you're taking, you're moving forward. Really a race here between 3
Yeah.
and 4.
Well, what you also have is you have different styles of stroke. You have a long stroke and you have a
Yep.
short breaststroke. And when do you use what?
Right.
So I know that some of the swimmers I've coached, I was like, you kind of need to get in between. You don't want to be doing a sprint short stroke constantly in 100 breaststroke or 200 breaststroke, but are they getting enough pull out of it?
Right.
Well, that's okay. So one more stroke for lane 3 meant drop it down. Brooke Lewis looked like she pulled that one out. When you're not pulling water in any stroke, it's a problem.
Right.
It's really a problem in the breaststroke.
Yes.
So if you're not turning your hands at the proper angle, if you're not turning your feet at the proper angle to press the water away from you, but you'll hear a lot of coaches saying the kick is what matters the most.
Yes.
Because that's what's powering
Driving
you.
it. Yep.
So right here in the second heat of 5, we have lane 1, Sophia DiCarlo, Falston. We have Mackenzie Leeson, Bel Air. We have Emma Fosenbaker, Falston. We have Isabella Duda from North Hartford. We have Kimberly Lynn from Patterson Mill and Lillian Dowd from Bel Air.
Yeah, I know we talked a lot about the underwater kick, the fly kick. This is the one stroke that it doesn't apply.
Right.
So, but trying to get a really good pull out, and a nice long pull out can really be a big difference maker in the race. You want to stay underwater as long as you can, as long as you're still going forward.
Right.
And you're not losing momentum. But definitely can make a big difference in a race, because that's where you're going to have obviously the least amount of drag, which is what we're trying to do here. Good start from lane 3. Can see that underwater pull out from some of the swimmers. We'll look at that a little bit more closely as we get into the other heats as well. So you get underwater, you can do your streamline, one pull, you can actually pull past your hips. You can't do that as soon as you start coming up to swim. Again, the officials are down there to make sure they're touching with 2 hands at each end of the pool and at the finish. But yeah, you get one pull all the way down, you get a kick, and then you have to bring your arms up to start your breakout. So looks like the Bel Air swimmer here at that end of the pool, looks like we have 2 races almost going on. 5 and 6 kind of swimming out there together, and then you have 2 and 3 challenging each other here.
Now
Looks like lane 6 pulled away outside.
Yeah, Lillian Dowd just had a much better pull out on that wall, and that's what separated her from her competitors.
And that's something that's hard to teach sometimes too, because swimmers tend to want to move.
Yes.
And you have to kind of understand you don't want to lose that momentum, and you are actually going to be a lot faster if you sometimes slow it down and then learn how to get a little bit more strength to that pull out.
Now I will say that coaches on the breaststroke, and I won't call out names, but in the 2 heats so far, I've seen a few girls who, hang on the wall a little bit too long. And, that's, you're like, you've heard different sayings. With little kids, we've heard some people say, now Lillian Dowd there, very excited for me to see that personally. She's taken swim lessons from me, and she's gone from coming to me and wanting to get better at swimming to really was a great student, and she just learned so quickly. And I used to apologize to her and say, Lillian, I know I'm pushing you hard for like the 4th week you've been here, but you're doing really good.
Right.
So it makes me very proud to see her swimming with her high school team doing so well. So
awesome.
right now we have the third heat, lane 1, Emma McNerney from Patterson Mill. We have Severin Abbey from Rising Sun, Lydia White Bel Air in lane 3, Nina Armstrong from Aberdeen in lane 4, Mackie back in lane 5 from Havre de Grace, and Emma Dorsey from North Hartford.
Looks like we had a little delay there. It looks like the swimmer in lane 1 didn't quite make it to the block, so
Oh,
not sure what's going on there, but hopefully everything's okay. I know it's so hard this time of year. Everybody seems to have some type of illness, so hopefully everybody is okay. Some really nice pullouts. Looked like lane 2 had a really strong pullout off the block. Looks like it might be
Nina
the
Armstrong in the lead.
Aberdeen swimmer. Is
Yes.
that Aberdeen? Yeah.
Telling you.
And very different stroke technique. You see how she's staying a little bit lower in the water? I know we talked about this earlier. You'll see some of the swimmers want to come out a little bit more, and their shoulders are coming out of the water. Really depends on what works best for the body type
So
and what works best for the swimmer.
it looks like Lydia White's coming on a little bit, but one thing I really like about Nina Armstrong's breaststroke here is she holds her glide and gets the most out of her glide.
Right, and
Now-
that forward. You're staying
yes.
forward.
Now
Yeah.
it'd be interesting to see if Lydia can pick up the tempo here and use a speed stroke to catch up, but it looks like Nina's long streamline after each stroke is really paying off for
Right,
her.
and sometimes as a coach you would be tempted to mess with that stroke
Right.
a little bit, but if you do that you tend to sometimes throw off their timing, so you
Mhm.
really got to be careful when you have a kid who that's a very natural breaststroke. So you can't really teach that. So really great job for her. Nice swim.
I'd love to see her in the 200 breaststroke.
Yeah.
That gets on other people's nerves a little bit. When you're doing 25 strokes to their 20.
Right,
And you're like,
100%.
"Why
They're
are
not
you
using
beating
as
me?"
much energy as you are. That's the trick.
Why are you beating me when you're not working as hard?
Yeah.
Okay, so here we have
Heat 4.
coming up for Heat 4, Brooke Petz for Havre de Grace in lane 1, Alexandra Hall in lane 2 for Hartford Tech, Anna O'Leary for North Hartford in lane 3, Lily Pasquinelli for Falston in lane 4, Braylon Howard for Seamount Wright in lane 5, Madison Spangler in lane 6 for North Hartford.
Yeah, and you can see lane 3, what we talked about earlier. When you do that, you have that streamline. You get one fly kick, too, in addition to that pull. She did a really nice job getting all she could out of that one fly kick that you're allowed. North Hartford definitely looks like she's taking it out, but here comes the swimmer from Falston. Again, you don't want to rush. That's the hardest thing, too, when you're talking about tempo and, not rushing that pull out. If you can get the most out of that, that's the most efficient thing, and that's what you really want to do. Got quite the race going on here, though, between 2, 3, and 4. Really tight coming off the wall here. Lane 3 really working those breakouts. And again, it's more efficient because you're underwater, so you're not using as much energy. So if you can maximize that, that's definitely a good race strategy to have. And it looks like 3's coming in here on the 75. See if she can bring it home.
That's Anna O'Leary.
I know she's been swimming really tough this evening. You can see she's putting everything into it.
Got to give Brandon Howard a lot of credit here. I know that she was homesick on the weekend and earlier this week, not feeling well at all. She's healthy enough to be here, but you know how that is.
Toughen it out, yeah.
You've been weak and you're not feeling yourself.
Just do the best that you can.
Yes.
Sometimes you just gotta show up and try to get as many points as you can.
She's getting points for her team, and that's honorable.
And that's going to be an interesting thing to see if she moves up, if Anna O'Leary is able to move up, because seed time-wise, that was a pretty tight heat, and she
Right.
definitely pulled away. So here comes the last heat, and this is going to be our last individual event for the evening.
So what we have here, we have Hannah Persing for Patterson Mill in lane 1, Hannah Silcox, Seamount Wright, lane 2. We have Abby Snyder, favorite, Falston in lane 3, Catherine Whipke, Edgewood in lane 4, Sadie Cooper, Elkton in lane 5, and Hannah Ikemoto in lane 6. Good dives all around.
Yep, you see that really nice underwater
Mm-hmm.
pull out. And Abby's got that real traditional breaststroke. You can see she's getting her hips up a lot, which is really driving her forward.
Mm-hmm.
Really nice stroke going into the wall. She looks determined going out there fast. Really good race here. Coming in for the 50. See who's in the lead. It looks like it is Abby Schneider. And
Catherine Whipkey's right on her, though.
Whipkey's staying with her. So don't rush those underwater pullouts. Stick with your race strategy, and then hopefully bring it home.
So you have Hannah Silcox battling.
Fighting for third here.
Yeah, she's battling with Sadie Cooper.
Last turn.
Hannah's a great captain for Sea Mountain Wright. It looks like Sadie Cooper might be pulling ahead of her over there in third place.
Yeah, definitely looks like Abby Schneider for Falston is going to win this, and then Catherine Whipkey for Edgewood in lane number 4. But who's going to sneak in there for third? It might be.
We'll have to wait for the results.
We might need the replay.
Yes.
Great swim by all the ladies.
I would imagine we may see Anna O'Leary move up. Here we come here. So we see second place, Catherine Whipkey coming in.
And then
it depends on the stroke. Depends on if they try to do one more.
It was lane 5 got in there for third.
Mm-hmm.
Really tight race there.
So now we're going to come down to the 400 free relay. And it's going to be exciting.
The last relay of the night.
Yes.
And the scores, I don't think we have the most updated score, but it might come down to this.
So Ella Seifert was edged out by Lacey Pierce in that last race, but they both swam great. Best times for both, and it was only 0.08 of a second apart.
Wow.
Hannah Bella got her best time of the year, breaking into the 104s with a 104.47. What a great swim for her. Kate Taylor cannot be upset. She got her best time. Emily Fatkin, senior from Bel Air, finishing third. Finishing fourth, Lacey Pierce. Ella Seifert fifth, only a freshman. And Matea Mara coming in sixth place there. Any special time drops that I'm seeing here in the backstroke? A lot of good ones. So let me give you our 400 free relay here. We're going to have in lane 1, Joppatown, lane 2, Haverty Grace, lane 3, Aberdeen, lane 4, Elkton, and lane 5, Haverty Grace. So unless somebody surprises me here, I'm not expecting anybody in this heat to likely move up into the fast heat times.
You just never know.
But you never know, because what we don't know is all these times are the best time that team swam this year. So if you're a smaller team and let's say you have 4 dominant girls, well, you can't put them in all 3 relays. So you have to figure which relays are you going for.
Right.
So I know that Hartford Tech already has put its strongest 2 relays together in the first 2 relays.
Yep.
And
so that's an interesting strategy with that.
Well, it depends on what your strengths are.
Right.
Even though all 4 of their girls can swim a good 100 free, they're much better 50 freers than they are 100 freers. So that's why they did that.
It's more of a guarantee. Although, as a coach, the 200 free relay always made me a little more nervous than the 400.
Yes.
I had a little more confidence in what we were doing there. And again, this is the 400 free relay, so each swimmer is going to swim 100 free, so 4 laps freestyle.
Relay exchanges are very big here because you want to be aggressive but not too aggressive. You do not want to risk a false start. You want to make sure you have especially, it sounds weird to be strategic like this, but if you're 15 yards behind one team and you're 15 yards in front of another team, there's no reason to be too aggressive on the relay exchanges.
Right.
You know,
you never want to give the officials a reason to question whether or not, did I see that? Did they go early or didn't they go early? So hopefully the teams have been able to have some practice at this. I know some of the one facility in particular doesn't have blocks at all.
Mm-hmm.
So I know they try to rotate, giving every team an opportunity to have blocks at either Edgewood or Magnolia. So we'll see what that looks like. And I don't know what it looks like for Elkton or Rising Sun in terms of their practice facilities, but
Mhm. So
definitely something that you have to practice.
what you'll start to see happen here is on the sidelines, you will start to see more and more swimmers and coaches creep out because it is the last event of the meet.
Are you
And
saying no one's paying attention to deck passes at this point?
I'm saying that any swimmers that can are manipulating and getting out there.
Right, right.
They want to see their teammates swim this last relay, and it's exciting.
It really is.
I mean, I remember when they didn't pay attention as much to the deck passes, and that whole side of the pool was a mob.
Yes.
I would not have wanted to be an official with that.
I was going to say, you know who didn't like that. That was definitely the officials. Like, we can't have all these kids standing here because they will get in your way. And they're really, this pool is, you know, definitely the one side is a little bit more narrow. So it's not a good way to even really rope it off.
No.
So you'll see at some events that they'll be able to rope that off so the officials have that walkway. But you really don't have that opportunity at this facility.
So it looks like we have Aberdeen leading.
Aberdeen's really going out for
Is it
this
Aberdeen or is
leg.
that
I think
4? That might be Elkton.
Elkton, actually.
Elkton.
And it looks like we just got the 100 breaststroke results that came in hot off the presses.
So at the end of the breaststroke, we have Falston 282 points, C. Melton Wright 274, Hartford Tech 203, Patterson Mill 201, and Bel Air Bobcats 185. So suffice to say, I think Falston should likely have the girls' title in reps with an 8-point lead, but
Going into
not
the relay.
for sure, because with an 8-point lead, if C. Melton Wright would get first place and Falston got third, then it would be a tie. If it was first and fourth, it would be a C. Melton Wright win. But as long as Falston gets top 2, they will win the meet.
Right.
So
And the main thing is safe starts because you
Yes.
still have to swim it.
you have to swim it legal.
So, you know, you want to make sure that everything is good there.
Yes.
So it'll be interesting to see how this relay pans out.
Recapping the 100 breaststroke, as we know, Abby Snyder won, and she dropped time to 1:11.23. Catherine Whipke was second, and she dropped time to 1:13.51. Sadie Cooper moved up to third with a 1:16.17, and Hannah Silcox got fourth, but she had a best time as well with a 1:16.34. Hannah Persing was fifth with a 1:18.59, and Anna O'Leary was sixth.
Yeah, and that was a great swim there. You saw Edgewood coming up at the end. Really nice swim for that relay heat. And you see that relay start, you just saw that from the swimmer in lane 1. You know, again, you only have to have one toe on the block, but you never, again, like we were talking about, you don't ever want to give the official a reason to question that. That's why they're standing there, is to make sure that nobody's leaving early. I always worried about diving in on somebody.
There's Karen Gonzalez
the
again,
Karen
rooting on
Gonzalez.
another team.
Yes, she always is. Look, she's cheering for that team too. And she's been doing that for years.
Yes.
Got one more 50 here, and then it's the final heat of the night.
Karen introduced me to her husband tonight and said, I've known Ray forever. I'm like, I don't like that adjective. Forever.
I feel like a lot of people are saying that tonight.
They've known us forever, Kathy. What is up with this?
Forever.
So, yeah, or I was just little when I knew Ray. I was like, oh yeah, thanks. I wasn't. I was already grown up and old. But yes, I love the passion with swim coaches. It's kind of funny. The swimmers, it's all about the swimmers, but when they go home, there you go on the close-up on the finish there, the coaches are tired too. You know, they are very tempted to wish they could take off tomorrow from
Right,
work.
no, I'm sure.
It's a draining
Knowing
week.
how dedicated these coaches are, I know they'll be there bright and
Well,
early.
they're here from
Yeah.
3-something till 9 or 10 o'clock at night, 2 nights in a
Yeah.
row. So right now, this is the exciting finish. We have Bel Air in lane 1, C. Melton Wright in lane 2, Falston in lane 3, Hartford Tech in lane 4, Patterson Mill in 5, and North Hartford in 6. I know for Falston we have Kate Taylor, Lily Allman, Abby Snyder, and Lucy Playstead. And for C. Melton Wright, I am pretty sure
That
we
looks
have
like Ella.
Ella Seifert leading off. I think Bella Hanna is in this relay along with Sienna Paul, Holla, and Noelle Brown. So
Good start.
what do we
Had
have
a
left?
little late on the one start, but it looks like really going to be a fight. It looks like between C. Milton and Falston to start out, and maybe that's going to be telling of how the night's going to end. Is who's going to get that victory for the overall for the girls anyway, and then we'll have the overall champion.
One thing that they have going for them for Falston is they have 4 girls who could do right about a minute or less, and that's impressive.
Right.
For a relay like this. But Ella Seifert is really, really challenging here. Belair's in
remember,
third.
she was a 100, I think, in her 100 free tonight.
Yes.
So this might be, the night or the split where you're going to get that 59. So we'll see where she lands with that. She's not going to give up. So keep fighting, freshman.
Belair's holding on tight for third there. That's what Belair in lane 1.
Good relay starts. Again, that's really critical to get that good exchange. Nice whitewater kick behind lane 2. Good turn for 3.
Belair's not out of this.
No, Belair's still hanging in there. And even down there in lane 6, looks like they're really
North Hartford
in the hunt. They've had some great swims tonight. So again, we're doing 4 laps of freestyle per relay swimmer, and there's 4 of them. So this is a sprint, not quite as short as the 50, obviously, but still a sprint.
So I usually tell my swimmers, so here's what you need to do.
There's the kids down at the other end that we were talking about. There's the cheering section down there.
I think that's more than 4 kids per team.
I would say that's more than 4 kids per team, for sure. I think they were all relay alternates. That's what I would say. They were all possibly ready to step up. It's like having the 12th man at the football game, right? So here goes the third leg. Falston definitely looked like that. Their third leg swimmer is coming out really aggressive. Here comes C. Milton Wright, trying to make a charge. Falston looks like they're really swimming aggressively. You see all the swimmers down there cheering.
You got Captain Hannah Silcox right there next to Alan Chan. Hannah's really rooting for her team to get this all around. She'd love to have that for the end of her senior year.
Right, looks like
Addison Sweat out there cheering too. Luke Mahala, Ryan Chan.
Yeah, and there's Noelle for C. Milton Wright trying to hang in there, trying to make sure that they're still at least in position for second. It looks like at this point, Falston's kind of swimming away a little bit, the Lady Cougars.
Yeah, I kind of anticipated this when I knew they loaded up for this.
Right.
But C. Milton Wright's plan is splitting the last 2 relays so far is paying off with 2 second place potentials. So you can't be disappointed in
No,
that.
definitely not. Good turn there. You can see that from the camera angle. Looks like Belair's trying to really make a charge here too, and they're kind of fighting up there with North Hartford in lane 6. They can't see them at all, so they're just swimming. Just go as fast as you possibly can. Again, this is the last relay of the night. They're tired. It is almost 9 o'clock at this point. So you think about that long day of high school. They are definitely at this point a little bit tired, but it's everything you got right now. You just got to go.
So I think we have Bella Hanna anchoring C. Milton Wright, coming off of her backstroke victory. Always a fun way to finish a meet if you're like going to win the team title.
Right.
Bring it home with a win in the 400 free.
Yep.
So C. Milton Wright finishing in for second place there. So I think that seals the fate where Falston girls will win the title. C. Milton Wright will probably be second place. So Belair finished third in that
and you can
race.
see the Falston team looks very excited. I think they just realized that the girls may be the champions for the girls event this evening. I'm a little torn, Falston alumni, but yet former C. Milton Wright coach.
Well, you're going to get a good positive, Kathy, because I'm pretty sure you're going to hear a Falston Girls Championship, which you're a former Falston Girls swimmer.
Especially as a former Falston female swimmer,
Yes.
so I'm all about it.
And then I think C. Milton Wright will probably be declared the overall champion, which is to many of the coaches the biggest prize.
Right, and then you had the boys last night with Hartford Tech.
Yes, so very nice way for things to end. We will wait for the final numbers before we speak.
Right. Make sure everything went off without a hitch down there. You never can tell with the officials to make sure everybody was, again, legal.
Well, we've seen a few county championships determined by a false start.
Yes.
And, you know, do not want to name the years or the circumstances, but over the last 35 years, it has happened.
I know everybody's so excited. It was some great swims tonight. Best times of the season for many of the swimmers, sometimes personal best in many cases. So really great night of swimming here.
So we will be getting the results fairly soon for the 400 free relay. And I'm going to delay giving the girls' results and the overall results to see if they come out with the announcement on deck.
Yeah, that would be great to see everybody celebrating that.
I'd rather let the fans see the reaction. There's Sophie Lapano there, anchored for C. Milton Wright.
There we go, announcement. Oh, they're calling the girls to the podium.
Yes. That's basically saying, don't make us wait. Please get over here.
Right, right. We want to get out of here before 11 o'clock tonight.
Well, part of the problem is, for the fans that don't understand, swimmers are in the gym right now pulling down their posters on the wall, collecting their stuff, trying to pack up, while they also want to wrap the meet up with the awards and the team celebrations.
Right.
So, Kathy, before we recap that, when we just saw the 400 free relay with Falston first, C. Milton Wright second, and Bel Air third, what are your impressions of the meet for tonight so far?
I mean, I thought it was fantastic swims by everyone. I think you saw Bel Air really do a great job in that 50 and the 100 free. Their swimmers swim exceptionally well. You could tell the Falston girls were really going for it tonight, really anchored by Abby Schneider. It looks like her 100 breaststroke for that final individual event, taking that win. But some really, really great swims. You know, you had the Edgewood swimmer. I saw in the 500, looks like she dropped a lot of time in that first heat. You had the North Hartford swimmer, Val. I know we saw her swim, and she had moved up pretty significantly. Really great swims, too, by the freshmen. Looking at, you know, some of the seniors that are going to be graduating and all the talent that's coming in, it looks like Hartford County Swimming is in a really great spot moving forward. And it's really spread across all of the teams, which is amazing to see.
Well, you and I are always sad to see the seniors leave.
Right.
It's no different than being a high school teacher or even an elementary or middle school teacher.
There's definitely some tears.
Yes, and I am not shy to admit that I'm a wimp, and I hate seeing any of them. I mean, like you, I have swimmers on all kind of teams here that know me, know you. As we're sitting here telecasting up here, we've had so many people walk by and wave to us. Some of them a little bit too enthusiastically.
Right, right.
You know,
if you heard a little background noise, they were very enthusiastic.
They wanted to talk to us while we're on air, but either way, what a great night. What a great night. And you're right. Like, I look at just from last night, I look at the two Cecil County teams, and they're small. They don't have great practice situations. And those two coaches,
they really held their own.
Oh my God, they're so competitive for having the small team that they have. Looking at some of Chris Bly is getting a lot of new swimmers in the Jobbatown. Edgewood's getting some new swimmers, some really talented swimmers on Aberdeen and Havre de Grace. North Hartford, you know, we remember them being powerhouses. As recently as 2018, they won the UCMAX and they won the regional championships. They've got some really good swimmers.
Right.
Obviously, the powerhouses, Patterson Mill was a more top-heavy team. Lots of champions in the boys last night. Did really well tonight with some of their top swimmers and their depth.
Right, and you can't say enough about Emerson Young's swims tonight.
Right.
For her to get, 2 first-place finishes and then really anchoring those relays her senior year as well.
Yes.
So she had a great night as
she
well.
did.
But to your point, just the talent throughout the county looks like they're in good shape moving forward as well.
You see a little bit of a difference. You see that Falston Seamount Rate obviously had a lot more depth tonight.
Right.
So they had good swimmers in every event. So they're calling out the 200 free relays, and they called out Molly Cooper and Caitlin Welker, Hannah Persing, and Gabriella Rosso got third. They called Hannah Silcox, Sienna Pahala, Noelle Brown, and Ellie Hansen pulled out their second place. And then pulling out first place was Alexandra Hall, Lacey Pierce, Megan Wynn, and Emerson Young. Also, what a great night for Lacey Pierce, senior for Hartford Tech. She did really well in her individual events, and she was also on 2 winning relays for their team.
Right, you see the girls up there getting their medals.
Doing the hands on the knees.
Yes, try to get everybody
lean over
organized so that
pose,
everybody can see each other.
So the back row can be seen as well.
Yes. And again, without falling off the podium is always good.
They look so much cuter than the boys did on the podium. I don't know why. The boys are up there like, oh, what do we do? How do we stand?
Well, the girls, especially this generation, they take a lot of pictures of themselves, of each other, so they know how to pose. There's no bad shots anymore. I mean, it's amazing to me.
Well, I was the guy.
They understand lighting and all of that at this age.
Yes, if I got my picture in the yearbook, it was me eating in the cafeteria with my mouth wide open. These kids are like, they look like it's photoshopped.
100%. So, yeah, and you see some of the parents down there getting some pictures while they finish up handing out all the awards.
And Debbie Bazzer patiently awaiting for the next couple events.
And I saw her down there timing this evening as well. So she's serving double duty, it looked like. I saw her in lane 1 timing.
Oh my gosh, that was so nice of her.
Unless that was her twin, which could be, but I'm pretty sure that was her down there.
So now they're trying to call the backstrokers. They're waiting for one swimmer to come there and announce this. And right here it is.
Event 20.
Event 20, girls backstroke. Emily Fatkin, 3rd place from Bel Air. I root for Emily. Her father was one of my favorite soccer players ever, Dave.
And in first place with a time of 1:04:47 from C. Milton Wright.
Kate Taylor, 2nd place. And now we have 1st place, Bella Hanna.
All right.
Event 22, please report to the full deck.
Bella
Like
putting
the
her
hat,
cowboy hat
yeah.
on. I'm liking it. We just had the final results handed to us, and we will announce that in a minute. Bella's teammates coming over, Nick Nasanti taking her picture, cheering her on. So now we're coming up to the final individual event, the breaststroke results coming next. Apologize for any delay here. They're waiting for the swimmers to get back over here. Not sure why they went anywhere, Kathy.
Come get your medals.
Yes.
Yeah, I don't know. Maybe they felt like they had to clean up quick. I don't know.
22, girls 100-yard backstroke.
Or they're having a chat about something, or
Yes. I think this might have been Elkton's highest placing tonight, with Sadie Cooper for 3rd place, Catherine Whippy in 2nd place. Finished with two silver medals tonight.
I think so, yeah.
And then Abby Snyder with her, probably her second individual, and she has the one relay.
Relay, right,
Yes.
the 400 free relay. And you see the swimmers must be in a hurry because I see them trying to take the lane lines out already. One other duty is assigned if you're a swimmer. You have to put in and take out the lane lines.
Yes, host team.
Always definitely a struggle to get high school kids to go do that.
Mm-hmm. Oh, no. So we're seeing here in the results that Simon Wright was disqualified in the
Announcing results
400
from
free
event
relay for a
24,
false
girls
start.
400
We
freestyle
didn't see it.
relay.
I'm
In
not
third
questioning the
place
officials, but we
from
didn't see
Harvard
it. But
High School,
it
Jenna
still turns
Reed,
out that
Naruto,
they're going to finish second
Sophia
place, and
Petrosky,
even with
and
the
Anna O'Leary.
34 points that they would have had, they would have still
In
finished
second place from
with
Bel Air
308
Bobcats,
points and been 14 points shy of the girls'
Right,
title.
right.
So luckily, it did not impact the
The overall.
girls'
Right.
standings or the overall.
In first place from Boston High School with a time of 3:58:41. Kate Taylor.
As we were just talking about that, you still have to swim it. That's
Yes, yes.
nothing's ever assured.
So
What do they say in the Ravens games? Jerry Sandusky says the hay is in the barn.
Yes.
Is that can't say anything until that's actually
So
the case.
right now, North Hartford moved up to third place with Jenna Reed, Val Angelo, Sophia Bonacontri, and Anna O'Leary. Bel Air moved up to second place with Megan Lentz, Kiara Kanzler, Danielle Adrenin, and Emily Feck. And in first place was Kate Taylor, Lily Allman, Abby Schneider, and Lucy Plaisted. So Simone Wright would have finished in clear second place there, but they had a false start. So we'll let them announce this. I mean, we can announce the results, but we'll hopefully let you see the reaction here. So it does look to me like Falston will be the clear champion for the girls' meet.
And I think they knew it after they touched on that 400 free
Yes.
relay. Their reaction to that, they were pretty excited. So
Yes.
great night for the Lady Cougars.
I will say one shout out though. We have different size teams. Like Hartford Tech has a huge boys team and a small girls team, and the girls still did really well. Bel Air has a very big boys team and deep, and the girls team is smaller, and their girls still did really well. Simone
Oh,
Wright
here we go with the announcement.
is small, so they're gonna.
They're going to go from 5th to.
So 5th place in the girls' standing is Bel Air Bobcats. 4th place is Hartford Technical High School with 221 points. 3rd place, Patterson Mill High School with 231 points. C. Milton Wright, 274 points. And now you hear the screams.
And in first place, Falston High School with 322
Falston High School are your girls champions, folks. 322 points. Coach Debbie Basler, if the camera can follow her, was going to present the trophy to the coach.
I guess they're not coming to the podium. It
Yeah,
doesn't look like
it
on
would
this
be
one.
nicer.
Maybe they're gonna, or maybe they're coming back.
Here they come.
Here they come with their
Now
plaque.
you have your photo op for the Falston girls.
Yep, congratulations.
Well deserved. Coaches of Falston should be proud of themselves. We have Sarah Reisner, head coach.
And I could be mistaken, but I think she was a former swimmer as well for Falston.
Mm-hmm.
So exciting night for them.
Now, luckily for the overall champions, which I think I know it's probably going to be C. Milton Wright, they had enough cushion to withstand that disqualification on the relay.
You can see them down there.
Now let's see if they announce the overall. We have sports director and physical education supervisor Debbie Basler standing there with the overall plaque. This is really neat. This is like the only sport that does this. I don't know if tennis does that.
I'm not sure, but here's the.
But we do.
Right.
And
I think it's great.
it's neat that they do this co-ed. So in 5th place, Patterson Mill High School with 455 points. 4th place, Falston Cougars with 518.5. 3rd place, Bel Air Bobcats. Really close here between Bel Air and Hartford Tech. Bel Air coming in with 532. And then Hartford Tech, 2nd place, 537. First place, not right.
588 points for the Mustangs for the
Yes.
overall.
They would have cleared 600 if the relay was legal. Addison Sweat, Hannah Silcox up top there. You got Coach Travis Frues taking pictures. Last night, Addison was, losing by 2 points is very tough.
Yes, yes.
And he said, I just wanted to hold that plaque. And here he is holding the biggest plaque. That's awesome. Coach Tyler Kozar coming into the picture. Coach Sherry Frues. Getting a hug from son. Charlie Masanti in there next to Tyler Kozar. So before we wrap this up, Kathy, I think we said lots of good swim-ins. One of the nice things about an individual sports like this is you can have individuals that shine, you can have teams that shine. We've had a boys champion, girls champion, and an overall champion. So
Right.
what are your final
And
thoughts?
lots of champions in the pool, individually as well.
Mhm.
The dedication that it takes to do this. I think this was just a phenomenal night of swimming for all the Harford County athletes, and they should all be really proud of themselves.
Definitely.
Some phenomenal time drops, really good going into their regional championships that come
Mhm.
up in the next week or so. And then going into states, it looks like Harford County is going to be in a great position to be able to
Definitely.
hopefully represent really well at the next level of competition. So
Mhm.
all the swimmers should be really proud of themselves. Coaches, great job, and hope that this just momentum continues on into the
definitely.
next couple weeks.
I think we're going to have a lot of great swims coming up in a week and a half at regionals. A lot of swimmers here that were top 3 should be qualifying for states and maybe even some others. So final score again, you have your Falston Cougars are the girls championship tonight. Last night was Hartford Tech boys getting a team championship and C. Milton Wright boys and girls winning the overall championship. I'm Ray Hrues with Kathy Bendis, and we've enjoyed being here. Stay tuned for our next telecast. Thank you.